The Out There channel.
Please sub and share.
Searching for the truth. UFOs, aliens, greys and ufology. Real images, real stories, real videos, real cases, researched and investigated by professionals in the field and cutting-edge discoveries. Multiple witnesses, abduction accounts brought to you by Team The Out There channel. Good to be back. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Action.
Okay, I think we're finally up and running after some downtime there with setting up software. So hopefully YouTube and Pilled can coexist a bit better now until I get my restreaming server set up. So let's just organize the windows here. Pop out chat, get rid of that. Seems to be working on build. We're getting some response there. People on YouTube probably not expecting me, but we'll see who shows up. Let's shrink that down. Wasn't sure whether it's going to work. I had a strange error before on the restreaming server, which is running on this laptop at the moment. Something about a pinned error, which is a new problem. Let's see, it's up there. A wee bit too big. And who we got up there? Titties and beer. I don't think YouTube would allow the name like that, would they? But yeah, I haven't got it all open here, ready to go, because I wasn't sure whether it's going to all stick together, but it's all good at the moment. My left eye is blurry and my right eye is not terribly great today, but we'll see how we go. And I'm still waiting to hear from the hospital about operation, which they keep putting off. COVID sort of messed up things, I think. And doctors quitting and all that sort of stuff. We haven't got enough specialists in our city, apparently. They don't pay them enough, I guess. So yeah, got a few bits to cover there. Looks like no one's joined us on YouTube yet. So basically it's going over anything that we need to catch up on the UFO side of things. Maybe some science topics thrown in. So I did a private stream on Pilled last time. It turned out to be public. So I'm not too sure what happened there, but I contacted the staff about it. They're going to investigate it. Because I wasn't sure whether they're going to show some private emails or security codes or whatever. There's always people out hating online, as you know, especially if you debunk or expose people that they're fans of as being shills in ufology. My mouse is on a cable at the moment because I forgot to charge it. It's always something. I'll post up my web link here, but it should be available to everybody anyway in the bios. I got the chat thing overlay working, I believe. I'll just keep an eye on it, even though it's a wee bit buggy still. Google's mucked around with the code to do emanated hearts and all that sort of business down here now. Don't seem to be working for me though. Oh yeah, I think it's working now, is it? Oh yeah, it's doing something there. But is it messing up the thing? No, it's still working. Cool. Hey, so we're almost ready to go. Hopefully the audio's all working. I haven't got the same sort of audio check-in I used to have under Minicam. I'm using OBS now, so but everything's working better with the GPU and CPU, I think. Let me just have a look. We're hanging around about 24%, 40% CPU there. And GPU's way up there at the moment, is it? 30%, so it's using a lot more of that now. Although it looks like I might need to replace the CPU again because the temperature's getting up there a bit. And it is summer here now, which probably changes things. I'll just put that at the front. So yeah, we'll be looking at some paranormal stuff to start with. Haven't had much time to research because I've been busy fixing the computer, as you know. I'm getting another monitor, so I have two externals as well as the main laptop. And probably get it in November. It takes a couple of weeks to get it in the post from China. Hopefully the wars don't affect it too much. It looks like we still got no one joining this on YouTube, but that's YouTube for you. There's more haters than anything on YouTube. And I've tried to do it around a time frame where it's suitable for USA and UK people, which are main people that watch this anyway. The font's a wee bit small, so I'm going to have to zoom in. Hey, keep true. Thanks for joining us on Pilled. The loyal, what's that? Lawful Lily, how's it going? Don't often get many females showing up in ufology topics. Hi all on Build. Alright, so let's kick it off, I guess. I think it's all working. Okay, so Goofon put this up, and he said it's legit, and I don't think it is. So let's just play what he had to say about it first.
Inside the window.
So I'm not sure who he's playing here, whether he's posted the links to it or not. He's still friends with Third Phase of the Moon, which makes him a hypocrite. Can't see any links to anything, so we just have to play it through his thing here. So apparently there's meant to be a ghost girl looking through the window here. I'll just zoom in a bit. But you can see here there's things on the wall that are really reflective, things in the room that are really reflective, and things in the windowsill. So I'll just see where he starts off on this. Is it loud enough? Probably is. Let me just check that as we go. So many changes here.
He was on somebody's show saying, you guys are going to be, I've had experts look at this. Who? Well, I can't give their name. So you didn't have anybody look at him.
Okay, he's going to start the next
And his video is balloons. Look at
that. It's a bit hard to line it up sometimes. Here we go.
Closely, as he walks into the room, you can see a face in the window.
Okay, so that's meant to be a face in the window. Yeah, right. Could be a reflection.
Oh.
I don't think that's a face in the window. Can't tell by that blurriness. Bullshit video. Okay. So this is at night time, is it? Where you got internal light source.
But as we see, the homeowner lives several floors.
Okay, so that's meant to be the reflection in the window, is it?
Floors up, making it impossible.
Can see a lot of reflections. So you can see reflections.
For someone to be outside.
A lot of reflections there. That looks like the tent in the room. You've got buildings outside with lights on. We've got all this stuff in the windowsill here.
The window.
Yo vivo en un quinto piso. Sería algo ilógico.
Not sure what language they're speaking. That looks like Spanish, doesn't it? South American, is it? Yes, that looks like Spanish.
Okay. There's more to it. Now.
Have to be.
Would aliens do this? I think they would. I do. If I was an alien.
I don't know what he's talking about there, but anyway. I guess his topic was demons, angels. Looking at his title here. So he's trying to connect paranormal in with ufology.
And I have a imprint of a human. It doesn't matter to me. I'm an alien, whether it's a child, an adult, or a dog, a cat. I'm picking humans, and to me it.
Okay, so let's see if we can go back to the video. Was it where it resumes? Yeah, what's going on? That's where we started. Maybe I haven't got the beginning of it. No. This is why you need bookmarks. Chapters, as they call it on YouTube. So you can just skim to the start of it. Is that weird?
Okay. There's more to it.
Okay, so where's the more? It's so annoying. Not posting the source.
Those of you who are old enough know who Sam Kennison is. One of the...
Okay. Looks like we've lost our place on it. Because the stupid timeline thing here is useless. Okay, so maybe that's the start. Okay, it's in the daytime. There's meant to be a ghost girl here. Now, just looking at this picture here, I'm just seeing if we can play the full video of it. About this guy talking crap over it, because he hasn't got a clue. So let's just go back.
We've got more to go. Now.
Yeah, now. How about now?
Hold on. The video I'm going to show you.
Yeah, please do. How can we get it really lined up here? I might just have to listen to his garbage talk here. Yeah, we'll just carry on.
You got to take with a grain of salt. But would a demon do this? Now this is from Slapped Ham. Somebody submitted this really cool video.
Slapped Ham.
Check it out. And
although he didn't post a link to it.
Do you think aliens have time for this? Just watch.
A house again. Except
Yeah, so it's in daytime, doesn't it? It looks like in daytime now. Not nighttime, so...
this time, the creepy sighting is right outside the window.
See her?
Here we can see what appears to...
so what's the red flags here? It's not moving. You know, normally when you see on ghost shows, when you got shadow people or apparitions, normally you see them moving. Even slightly. Or, you know, if you would film in that window and see that duck off, that would exclude it being a reflection, but we're not seeing it in this video.
To be a small girl peering inside.
Look at that. Impossible. She can't be there.
At
3
first,
stories
it
up.
looks like a normal enough picture, but the following TikTok video gives a
Yeah, so we haven't got a video, it's a picture.
little more context. In this clip, the TikToker proves that he lives a few floors up from the ground, meaning this girl couldn't have been standing looking in the window. He also shows us that he doesn't have a balcony, suggesting that the little girl could indeed be a ghost.
Wow.
Also, if we watch that clip again more closely, as he walks into the room, you can see a face in the window.
Okay, that's where we started off with last time.
But as we see, the homeowner lives several floors up, making it...
So the daytime picture, now he's doing it at nighttime, so it's not exactly doing a side-by-side comparison here.
impossible for someone to be outside the window.
So let's go back to that video again. I'm not sure if he brings it up again. No, he doesn't, does he? So we got to try and find the spot again. I'll just simply reload it. Should have the timestamp to it.
Outside the window.
Okay. Full.
See her?
Here we can see what appears
Yeah, so this,
to be a small girl peering inside.
I'd like to get hold of the original photo, but just have a look at around what's on the wall here. We got obviously the sun shining in, and it's reflecting off these very bright things here. So if you have a look at this thing up on the wall here, looks like it's got two black bits on it, and that kind of looks like one of those black bits reflecting off this up here, right? So we're getting a reflection coming down this way. Looks like a bulge, like a round bit sticking out here, which kind of makes it look like a bulgy bit here. And you can see here it's bulging around because we're not seeing it three-dimensionally, right? He's not walking around the room standing next to this looking this way. And you can see here he's got, looks like a box with holes in it. And they got a lid in a certain place. It looks like it's pulled up in a strange way, right? So it looks like it might be the edge of the box here, not a piece of the hair going down, right? You can't actually see what's happening here, but it looks like it might be a reflection coming this way, casting it on the window. It looks like the box, looks like the hole in the box in the corner, right? So we're not seeing it from the other perspective, but it looks like inside the box here. And the edge of the box casting up this way, and with this thing casting a shadow down this way, which looks like an eye of a person. But we need to see further up here, if you know what I mean.
Look at that. Impossible. She can't be there.
At
3
first,
stories
it
up.
looks like a normal
Okay, we can't see above the angle of this.
enough picture, but the following TikTok video gives a little more context. In this clip, the TikToker proves that he lives a few floors up from the ground, meaning this girl couldn't have been standing looking in the window.
It's not a girl, it's a
Es
reflection.
falso que yo vivo en un primer piso.
He also shows us that he doesn't have a balcony, suggesting
You can see all the reflections then when he's turning.
that
That's
the
at
little
night
girl
time.
could indeed be a ghost.
Wow.
Also, if we watch that clip again more closely as he walks into the room, you can see
Goof
the
one,
face
he's
of the window.
clueless. There's the difference between being a video analysis with a scientific view with a middle ground. To always look at something critically and not cast it out as not being paranormal, but actually just look at it from a neutral perspective. But you can see here all the reflections. So they've got the light on at night time here. This is not going to cast the same shadow on the window because it's not the same daytime footage with the light coming in and reflecting the whiteness.
But as we see, the
same
homeowner
way.
lives several floors up, making it impossible for someone to be outside the window.
No es así, mire.
So you can see all the reflections now of that box here.
Yo vivo en un quinto piso. Sería algo ilógico.
So I wonder how many millions of views he got on this and what money he made off it.
Okay.
Right?
There's more to it. Now, I'm just...
But yeah, I was just trying to see if we can see a bit further up on that thing on the wall, but I don't think it really matters too much. I think it's fairly obvious. Out there somewhere. Yeah. So that's the streamer's logo up there. It looks like a little pig or something. What is it? Don't know what it is. It kind of looks strange, but anyway. So yeah, you can see it might be some Asian type toys here with the big eyes, a bit like that character up there, I guess. But yeah, you can see here there was a case where you could actually see two eyes on it, which matched up here.
It looks like a normal enough picture, but the following TikTok video gives a little more context. In this clip, the TikToker proves that he lives a few floors up from the ground, meaning this girl couldn't have been...
Yeah, anyway, I'm pretty sure there was more to it where you could actually see the reflection of the two eyes. But I don't know where I saw it. But it's a bit of a shame you can't find out the original picture of that to analyse it a bit better. But I think we've busted that one. What was the next bit? UFO Hate Group. So yeah, I'm done with that one. Yeah, I don't think he did post any links, did he? I even said here. It's a reflection of the thing on the wall and the thing on the window edge with hollow wires. It's not moving with a steady camera. Great show. All these suckers that follow him. What's that there, Shelley? Was it Shelley I saw? I thought I saw Shelley. Great show. My foot. He's misleading people there. He's not even analysing what he's showing them. But yeah, if we actually got hold of the photo, we could probably work out the angles to that, how the sun's coming in and reflecting off that object three-dimensionally. But I don't think it's really worth wasting any more time on that one. This is quite interesting that was put out, but I'm not sure if it's playable. The Hate Group. Apparently there's a group of UFO nutjobs that team up and start reporting UFO channels on YouTube, like myself, if they don't like what you're telling them. And they try and dox people and all that sort of stuff, which is bad behaviour. Doxing's okay if it's public already, you know, like criminal records, but putting other personal information like street address and pictures of their house is not legal. That's been happening. So someone's got together a lot of private video chats of Lou's Zondo fan group and all that sort of stuff, exposing what they're up to. So if you were exposing Lou as a liar, which it turns out that he wasn't a running a UFO thing for Pentagon at all. He didn't inherit it. It wasn't A-tip was his own invention. The program was actually called ORSAP, and the guy that was in charge of it said he wasn't doing anything for them. He was running his own personal group outside Pentagon. So yeah, we've been through that in the past. Other people have talked about it too. So this video came out on a guy called King Milkfoot, and someone set up a separate page called King Milkfoot Harassment Archive. The UFO Hate Group works in unison to systematically harass, dox and threaten UFO media, scientists and private citizens in an effort to ruin lies and control the UFO narrative. This video is a compilation of over 40 testimonies. Now, someone actually got a strike for playing that, so what I'll do is I'll post it so you can actually watch it after my live show. What's that strange noise I'm hearing in the headset here? Yeah, I do live in a place that has paranormal activity happening, so sometimes I pick up EVP, so just be aware of that. What are we saying up here? I'll just check. There isn't a lot of anomalous activity there. It's only illegal if they uphold them and seem fine with doxing people. It is illegal to reveal person's telephone number, street address. That is definitely illegal under law. If they haven't personally put out their own information, self-dox as it's called. So like if you got a alias online but never ever tell your real name, or you got a make-believe name and someone tells you that the real person's name is this and this, that's doxing. And also if you accumulate all this stuff and put all together with other information. But exposing like someone that's a criminal in ufology, that's been doing illegal activities like selling drugs or whatever, that's fine to reveal that information on that person as a fraudster. Like if they've been caught with check fraud and all that sort of stuff, and they set up a UFO channel to publish fake UFOs and stories and cream off suckers, then they should be exposed, right? As long as it's public findable information, that's fine. You could say this person, security team, has done all these illegal activities like bash his wife, which he did do, and all the other stuff he was up to, DUI and all that sort of stuff, and claiming that the men in black set him up, which was a lie, complete lie, right? So all that sort of stuff that he hasn't told his own thing. He'd make up excuses that he was sick or was grieving when he was actually in prison. So yeah, Dad was a conservative, so often worked nights. He told me he saw a ship on ground, early 60s. Alright, I thought, when you said ship, I thought you were talking about ship, boat, early 60s and several aliens walking around it. Yeah, there's a lot of stories out there, but no one's actually got any solid evidence when they come up with all these stories, right? And that's half the problem. And the good stuff, there is some good stuff out there, but there's always problems with it. Like, you know, I got a Skywatchers video I analysed on my YouTube channel there. No one takes it seriously because they think he's hoaxed it, but there are definitely aliens in it, and I don't think he hoaxed it. But the problem is he didn't report it to MUFON and let them investigate it and get daytime pictures, and he wouldn't give me the daytime pictures to overlay it at night time where he was. And I said, well, how come you didn't go when the UFO disappeared? Why didn't you just go out there? He said it was like swampy land, he would have got stuck. But still, you could have shown that in the video, right? You could have walked up and said, well, this is where the water is, that's where it was over there. And you could have done a daytime thing straight after to append onto the other information, right? So yeah. So there's always problems like that with people's stories that makes it less credible. But if he faked it, then he should be working for Hollywood, as far as I'm concerned. People were saying he was being pranked by an ambulance driver wearing a latex mask and all that sort of stuff. But you have to go and watch the video to see if you think it's an ambulance. But if they did, they're pretty quiet in what they did there. Well, they haven't come out in 12 years. It's been out for 12 years now. No one's come out and said, yeah, we helped him fake it. He was in his late 50s, I believe, and yeah, he didn't make any money off it. Doesn't mean he didn't try to make money off it, though. Try to get some publicity for it. But his main excuse for not giving it to MUFON is because they have a clause that's saying they take copyright ownership of it. I said, well, you could at least cut it in half, the video in half or something like that, and gave them a little segment of it. And then the investigators could have come out and did all the EMF readings and radiation background checks and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, if you want to go and check that out, just go to my YouTube channel here. Damn it, what's going on? Try to scroll down and go to the home tab, and you'll find it there. UFO case. So we've actually got a couple of credible cases here that we talk about. One's from UK, where the guy stepped outside his house and saw something in the sky, started filming it. And it's a classic UFO. And that was actually given to MUFON to investigate, and they said, yeah, it's not a plane, it's not a balloon, it's going against the wind, blah, blah, blah. But he wouldn't make it public. He wouldn't allow it to go public. Well, this guy here put up on his own YouTube channel, which is not monetized in any form, and he gladly gave me the source when I asked for it. And I said, you do realize that I'm a video analysis and will call it out if it's a hoax. And he said, yep, fine, go for it. But yeah, like I said, they had some problems with that one. So I'll just post it up on the side chat again, because I keep bringing it up as a reference point. Yes, anything can be faked. But even the best videos, even from 20-year-old cameras that like he had, alien UFO filmed case that I worked on, you can find it there. Official Rat Crow on YouTube here. How's it going? I'll just flip that around here. Be a lot easier once I get that third display, I think. UFO case talking about. So yeah, let's see. Let's see if it plays, because I think it was taken down. It's still playing, so that's good. They may have released a copyright claim on it then. Maybe not. I'll just mute it. Okay, what's it saying here? Over the past few years within ufology has developed, it has come to be called the Hate Group. Okay, that's what it said in the thing. Takedowns. So they've been trying to take down channels like mine. It's probably why I have so much trouble on YouTube. Is it playing? It's going to be clicking over, but it's not doing it. Oh, it is now. I'll just skim through some of it we can. Here we go. So, it's got various clips from various people that they're captured talking about being harassed. I'll just skim through some of it here.
Statements were harassment and abuse coming from UFO Twitter
audio.
In particular has been very loud and very angry.
Because now you've gone from harassing a nobody actor who had a really shitty experience with one of these prophets and just told his side of the story, and have now upgraded to threatening DoD employees and NASA scientists.
Yeah, and I mean, so, you know, the
Just get on a bit.
Himself threatened numerous people. He would send people photos of their homes, their work. It was just a crazy time. But it wasn't just Christopher Gray. Jonathan Davies and many others in their group used to do this to so many.
Most of the people I don't even know or even care about, really, to tell the truth. I just do my own thing. So if people are harassing me and tagging me on Twitter or whatever, I don't pay any attention to it all. I just block the idiots pretty much myself. And I haven't had any problems with YouTube overall, but I was targeted by Third Phase of the Moon, who was exposing, and they got Dr. J Radio, who they were working with, because I used a clip that they were playing on their video, on their show, with his permission, which was talking about Corey Good, and I was talking about Corey Good is clearly lying here, looking at his body language, right? And I said it's a terrible interview because he's not asking him hard questions, and so they got Dr. J to strike my YouTube channel, and it was taken down for 3 months, and the guy wouldn't release it, even though it was fair use, and it was only like a 40-second clip. So whether they're part of the hate group, I don't know, but they certainly took out my channel and basically brought my channel down to its knees in that 3 months, because we had to go to other, at the time, less viable streaming options to keep the show going. And basically I lost all my donations because everybody wanted to use YouTube features like super chats, and they didn't want to switch over to OBS what's it called, tips. I was using OBS tips, and they didn't want to use that, and other things. Patreon was one of them, and Subscribe Star, which in the end I didn't like, because they didn't pay out until you reached $100, unlike Patreon, which released it regardless of how much you earned every month. So I had all that money tied up on Patreon, and they weren't going to pay me out on it. Not on Patreon, on Subscribe Star. I see BitChute had trouble with them, and now they've dropped them as well, so we had to go and use their own pay system they've set up since then. But yeah, you can see these people saying that a lot of people were harassed in ufology had simply just given up and left. Well, I'm not going to leave from being from being harassed by Dr. J or Third Phase or security team or who I expose. I'm a stayer, and I run my channel pretty much out of my own pocket anyway. I run in losses with hardware and internet costs every month pretty much for the last 8 years. So my channel was set up for the UFO topic and paranormal topic, and it wasn't never about money, although I need money to run things, and of course I'm jobless. You know, I don't do this part-time, I do this full-time, and I don't make any money from it, so I have to rely on handouts pretty much from the government, which is basically getting back my tax money when I was working anyway. You know, I worked in computer industry and I was on big bucks and paid a lot of taxes, so as far as I'm concerned it's pay forward, and then they pay me back. Now I've got health problems since I've been having to live off the health system, benefit system in New Zealand, so I don't get paid very much, unlike in America where the handouts are a lot better. So yeah, saving a little bit here and there to fund fixing up laptop and getting the equipment I need, like cameras set up to be able to do my own sky watching and all that sort of stuff, and internal cameras to capture paranormal activity that was happening. But since I've set it all up, since all the good stuff's happened, I haven't managed to capture too much since I got all the cameras set up. They know what you're doing, so this is why we're investigating this strangeness. But I have caught 2 UAPs on my own equipment since, and I have caught an apparition triggering lights down the hallway. So if you've been following me for the last couple of years since I've set up the cameras, you would have seen all that footage. But yeah, so all these people with YouTube channels out there that I don't even know about or care about because I do my own thing, they're all being harassed because of various reasons that this hate group didn't like what they were doing.
Many people.
How many people just stuck up for me? Like, oh, actually, I know Tupa. He wouldn't, I don't think he's a bad person because he said that 3 years ago. I think that's out of context. All of a sudden, those people are getting doxxed in the worst ways. Like, literally in strict.
I'm a random target because I dare to listen to somebody, to talk to somebody. I don't like it, man. And it's real every day.
So then I stood in support for Red Panda and Tupac. Next thing I know, I'm being attacked. And this whole group of them.
Just me, there was like at least 10, 15 people that I know of personally who have undergone the same type of treatment.
Well, all of a sudden they're getting...
So this goes into the side that the government is behind it, right? Part of the hate group. It's a bit like the CIA's funding these hate groups to go out. A bit like the Jan 6 stuff that you're not allowed to talk about, right? We know the government's behind it. They infiltrated some of the people in there to try to get them to storm the Capitol. But yeah, they're trying to blame Trump for it and all that sort of nonsense, right? So the same thing happens in ufology too. Because they're doing secret government testing of Black Ops stuff, and people filmed it, and they want to create that disinformation. But also, the real stuff is there too. They don't want you to know about aliens and all that sort of stuff because why, we don't know. And that's the whole problem with censorship and disinformation. We don't know what really is going on. But not everybody can be mental, right? Not everybody can be liars. If people say they saw up close and they've been abducted and all this stuff, they can't all be crazy people. So, you know, I've had my own personal experiences as well. And I know I'm not crazy. And I know that it's really hard to capture and document it to try and bring it to other people. But yeah, it's definitely something bigger going on. And this is why I'm in the field. And maybe a few others out there. But yeah, I was always a bit suspect when Lou Zondo come across claiming all these things, and then all this To the Stars was set up, and it's making all these TV documentaries trying to make lots of money from it, and putting up all this crap videos of skydivers claiming that was UFOs, and yeah, I just had no time for it. It's creating too much noise, and of course that's what all the public gets to see, was all these guys being interviewed on Fox. And this is the real stuff, the average Joe stuff, where people are doing it from their homes, and you can bet that the government's keeping an eye on me, because I've had a lot of strange stuff happen. You know, where my strings would be interfered with, and you saw what happened with when we had Robert on a couple of shows ago. He had internet dropouts and power cuts, and previous other live shows that he was bringing us his FOIA requests and stuff. He was investigating, and then we'd have problems on live. But yeah, fun days. So yeah, it's a bit long video here, goes through all these people talking about it.
Who is that? Why do you respect him so much like that, Mike?
Because he's the boss.
The boss, okay.
Yeah, he tells us what to do.
All of a sudden, this celebrity type is attacking him and telling his viewers to go dox him and do all this other weird stuff, and you're like...
But remember, back to Roger Kipling, right? The strength of the wolf is a pack. I can only do what I'm doing because you guys are doing what you're doing, and your audience is doing what they're doing. So thank you for all, and this is a team effort, you know.
There you are, there's a disinformation agent.
I look to my shoulder right and left, and I see all of you. So thank you for being along, you know, on this journey.
We just wanted you to know that the pack has your back too.
Oh yeah. 10-4, appreciate.
So yeah, the pack has his back. So he's got his team of doxers out there.
Appreciate it, Rob, more than you know. It really, it helps. It really does.
I mounted the attack. Called in my chief, Rob, my cohort in this. And we took.
So I'll post a link to that, guys, and you can go and watch it in your own time. See what you think of it. Zondo and the Hate Group doxers. So I'll probably be targeted again, putting that up. Just try. Did it post alright? Russia, Russia, Russia. Yes, it's all Russia, right? Putin, yes. So yeah, something strange happened when I was playing that last stream. We lost all the audio. So that was something strange that happened as well. That's never happened before. When I was playing my funny clip with the Trump emanation. Yeah. So I'm basically disabled, and the fact that my left eye, I can't see through it. But yeah, thanks for that. But at the moment, I need to still do the W9 form for Peel to be able to even take out money. But I'll let it accumulate, and then eventually I'll get that sorted out. But it's not about the money, guys. It's about you guys actually showing up and interacting and sharing your own experiences. Because this is how we can actually get to the truth. Not through TV shows and documentaries on Hollywoods and Fox News and all the other channels out there, which are just full of nonsense, right? So, thanks for joining us anyway. because that's the main thing here. Yeah, I'm not using StreamYards. I'm doing it all on my own back. I'm using a streamer server here at home, which I believe is working just fine. But I've got to keep an eye on it because you just don't know if it's going to drop connection. And the way Pilled is set up is if it drops connection, it ends the stream. But YouTube has got something better where you can actually tell it when to stop the stream. So you can actually reboot your computer with YouTube and come back online 5 minutes later, or even an hour later, and it will just start appending to the last stream where it left off. So if you have some sort of technical outage, YouTube doesn't drop. It just keeps the channel open until you come back and then start the streaming software up again. Well, Pill doesn't have that option. It's as soon as you start, it starts recording. As soon as you drop, it ends the live stream. So it really needs that option to manually click it off from the control panel, like YouTube does, to be able to keep things nice and flowing with the live stream, right? In case you have Men in Black take you out with a power cut, or take out your internet or your ISP for 5 seconds through some sort of hack. Because we're using Windows here, so we know that Windows has got a lot of backdoors, and it's probably some government access only stuff still being rolled out with updates, right? You can never be sure. It doesn't, I'd never rely on virus scanning software, because I know people can tailor stuff that can get through your defenses, and it won't be detected by the virus scanning software. And it doesn't mean there's the government backdoors through Microsoft probably still there, right? So I'm still on Windows 10. We've got a couple more years before they stop updating it. I've yet to play around with Windows 11. But yeah, it's all working sweet at the moment, which is good. The updates took out Minicam though, and Minicam changed the license agreement, as I was saying, so I had to move over to OBS, which is finally caught up with the streaming for the camera at the same time now. It's got all these nice, it's finally a good package, OBS, in my opinion now, where Minicam was better at one stage, now it's not. And of course I never liked the OBS layout initially because it was harder for my eyes, because I had an eye problem. And I think with my own tools that I've made to work with OBS, this thing here where I can put in a stamp over top if I want to do a stamp, or emanations. So I can say busted, alright, I can bring up busted label. I don't think it's top secret, the hate group. Alright, so you can do these things here, which I should use more often when I debunk each video. Like the ghost one, I should have been putting a stamp here: nonsense, fake, hoax, cover up. And I got all these other things I can do as well, like ping pong. When I go to the toilet or something, I could just put up that where people can watch that. Or Space Invaders. UFO jets. What was that one? Oh, that was one of the better ones. That one there. So anyone's got little web movies, emanations like this, I can simply add it onto my control panel here and use it on shows if you want to do something for me. So yeah, as long as you create a transparency video using WebM, I can just simply create a button for it and give you a plug on air. So I've done these ones myself. And I can make it a small window as well. I got Bigfoot. Bigfoot emanation. I can make it a small window as well on that one. Well, a smaller version of it instead of taking up the full screen. There you go, the Bigfoot's been abducted. Although they reckon the Bigfoot actually pilots off some of these UFOs, so I'm not sure if they're aliens themselves that crashed here, or it's ancient humans, or whatever, or maybe a combination. Maybe there's Bigfoot hybrids, like there's human hybrids. But yeah, it's all fun stuff. So I can do all that sort of stuff here. So yeah, I can just keep adding more panels on with various things. And I can nuke, which is the one we kind of use a fair bit. Nuke the side chatters with the Nazi UFO. That's if I got the side thing up, of course. As it shoots at nothing. As a wobbly UFO, I wouldn't want to be in that. I'd be probably vomited into a bucket. There you go, shooting at the pilled commenters. Yeah. So if I get trolled too much, I'll bring out the Nazi UFO onto you. Anyway, did I post it up on YouTube, that other link? UFO haters, go and check out the video sometime. I've done it, I copied it for Pilled, I think, and now I'll do it for YouTubers. I don't think I've got anyone watching me. You know, this haters will be haters, right? I reckons we got one person lurking there. So enough of that one. You see what I mean about it. What's this one here? Out of the world. Oh yeah, it's a UFO case. Talking about Gary Rowe. He puts up UK cases. He's like an investigator. So I'm actually going to bring up a interesting case of his eventually and have Robert on. But he's talking about other UFO cases here, and one of them is talking about a English pub that was hearing voices when the owners would go to bed. It was like a paranormal case. They could hear what they claimed to be ghosts celebrating in the pub below. So they, as you know, a lot of these places had like hotels above the pub where they rented it out to people. So the owners would actually, in the future, change those pubs so they would live above the pub itself, and then they would hear strange noises. So BBC, you've got to be careful here of playing BBC stuff because they don't honour fair use. But we'll just see what I can play of it. I'll just pause it every 5 seconds, and we normally get around it that way. And because it is transformative work, what I'm talking about here. We're going to add some science to it. So yeah, we're about to begin on this one. Just go back to the main story.
Apparently empty. So how is it that, as some people claim, noises from the past can be recorded in the...
Okay, so noises from the past are heard in the future. So you've heard about paranormal having residual hauntings and intelligent hauntings and all this. So where the ghost interacts with you or answers you with EPVs, as they call electronic voice, on tape recorders, but you don't actually hear it with your ears. Although some ghost hunting shows, they do hear sounds actually with their ears, and they say, did you hear that? And there's also EVPs, which only appear to be picked up by the electronic equipment itself, but not actually with the human ears itself. And then you got ones that like residual haunts, where seems to happen at the same time every night, or it plays back these sounds every night at certain times, which is kind of interesting, but there may be some scientific reason behind it. Rather than it being pseudoscience, it could be actually conventional science behind it. So this is one of the shows where they're talking about sounds in the pub. Is it loud enough though? Let's see.
Present.
The audio is pretty crap on some of these.
The trail
videos.
begins here at Kenfig and the Prince of Wales Public House. The first place to turn for information is the local guidebooks. They show this building has a powerful connection with the past.
You can see the audio is pretty crap. I did actually get an add-on. Can't see it in the toolbar here. Called Equalizer. Was that the one? No. It's not showing up for some reason. I think I might have it disabled at the moment because it interferes with my pitch shifter. So if I bring up the pitch shifter though, I can actually improve the audio too. Have I got it here? This one here. So if I can make it more bassy.
From the 1600s, it was a courtroom. Local legend has it that condemned men were hanged just down the road and then buried somewhere close to here. Nowadays, it's a pub, and inside, they say that the noise of voices and music continues, even when the place is empty, and they say they have the tapes to...
Mr. Ken, and it's less likely to get flagged, picked up by Google's bot, because it is fair use anyway, but yeah. You can see it's got rid of some of that strange tones.
Prove it. I need to find out how those recordings came about. The publican here is Nick Evans.
About 3 years after we came to live at this pub, we were in this room on a Sunday evening, having just finished, and I was sitting over there reading the newspaper, and my wife had the television, must have been quietly, when we both looked at one another, and we heard organ music. And through the adjacent wall, there was an organ or harmonium in the Sunday school. And it was playing audibly. So I went to investigate with the 2 dogs, and as I was approaching the top of the stairs, the music was still playing, and to my surprise, the door was still intact and not being broken into, as I thought. So I put the key in, opened the door, and the room was in darkness. And as I opened the door, the organ music stopped playing. And there's nobody there. There was nobody there at all.
So if that was scientific, why would the organ music stop playing? It's kind of strange. But maybe when he opened the door, it changed the electric field of the room. Maybe the electric field of the room, static charge of the room, was somehow interacting with the materials of the room, which was acting like a speaker. So there could be some scientific reason behind that as well, I guess, when you look at it from a middle of the road perspective. Because some people say it's always paranormal, and the other skeptics would say, no, it's got to be some sort of reason behind it, that the person's crazy, or that maybe there's some scientific principle behind the sounds, like infrasound or ultrasound. So, yeah, it's quite an interesting, these interesting cases. There's a lot of interest in paranormal cases, because UK is so ancient, right? Going back centuries before USA was colonized and started developing into old buildings over there, because it was like before the white people invaded and took over from the Indians. There wasn't like the old buildings made of stone and a lot of death and destruction like there was in UK, right? With the Romans being invading it, and the Vikings invading it, and USA was pretty new. So since then of being colonized and buildings being built up there, then they started having all this paranormal activity started being reported through increase in the population, I guess, and the change in the environment. So maybe that's all part of the research side of things. But then again, you started hearing about the Indians having paranormal and skinwalkers and all that. So maybe it's been around for a long time, but less documented, because they didn't have the same sort of technology and building structures and all that sort of stuff before the white man come along and took it over. But yeah, just keep on with the story here. I'll just trying to make it a bit more transformative as we're using it. Trying to think of the words to say without upsetting people, if you know what I mean. I got to be careful what I say. I know Pilled hasn't got the censorship, but we are streaming to YouTube at the same time here.
The story intrigued two pub regulars, an electrical engineer and an industrial chemist. They decided to investigate.
We reasoned that possibly the noises were actually coming from the fabric of the building. So we then decided to take a sample of the stones that the building is made out of, and we found that they contain silica and a percentage of ferric oxide, the very things that are in microchips and recording tapes. So what
So in the past we used like VHS tapes and cassette tapes, so you might better remember those. And they got the cassette tapes were made of vinyl with a layer of basically iron filings, right, ferrous material, which you could change the magneticness on the surface of the tape with recording heads, and then you could then play it over the recording heads as a receiver and actually pick up those changes and then convert it back into a wave of sound, and then cause a speaker membrane to move in and out with the changes of the magnetic field, which would create a basically a compression wave, which is called sound, which then would move it in your eardrums, and then you'd hear it as sound again. So they're saying here that the materials of the building have a lot of iron in them, which could potentially store magnetic information, and if you could get drive a current through it, like static electricity through the rock, would it be like a speaker where the the magnetic filings would actually cause a vibration, a resonance in the rock, which then would cause the motion of air, which would play back the organ sounds or the cups banging and people talking. So that's their theory. So they're going to put it to test by putting current through the wall and seeing what happens and all that sort of stuff.
The reason is possibly the walls were acting as a low-grade, primitive recording medium. So what next? Well, when I heard about Alan's analysis, we discussed it in this room, actually, and the suggestion was that we'd inject the wall with electricity so to release these sounds and noises that people had heard in this inn.
Well, we very simply drove the electrodes. Alan and John showed me how they passed an electric current through 2 nails hammered into the wall, then set up a microphone and tape machine, time to start recording at 1 a.m. The room was locked. When they returned the next day, this is what they heard.
But did they make a mistake in the analysis of this, right? It kind of sounds like feedback noise, doesn't it? So they're putting a current through the wall and they've got a microphone set up. Sounds like almost like it's slowed down there too. I actually sped it up here as well, so it was actually a lot slower sound. I've actually, with this pitch shifter here, I've actually sped it up a wee bit. As you can see, I've sped it up by 1.3 because 0, and I've pitch shifted it down by 0.5. But we could actually use this actually to play around with that sound to see if it actually sounds like voices or instruments by moving this up and down. But we might do that in a minute. So that sounds like where you feed in a sound into an amp and play it back. You know, it's a bit like if I brought up Pilled and actually started playing back the string that's like slightly behind what I'm doing here. You'll get a feedback and it'll go round and round and round and it'll get more echoey. So you notice they're using the old reel-to-reel tape here. So they're using primitive technology back then. They're not using digital recorders or anything. So yeah, you're going to have added noise and all that sort of stuff using the older technology too.
So what would you say to people who would say, come on, this is just a pub prank?
Well, it's understandable that people are skeptical of our claims, but we were sincere.
We've come under a lot of ridicule. But John said there's something going on, a phenomena which we can't understand. We've decided to try our own experiment, so I called in Roger Waldron, a sound recordist with 12 years' experience at the BBC. You're the sound engineer we're pinning all our hopes on. What have you got planned? I've been able to get hold of John's original tape recorder, which we're going to set up in the room tonight, in the way that John and Alan set it up. And in addition to that, I've got a digital recorder.
So they modernised it. Finally.
I'm going to set up with a contact microphone in one channel, which will be attached to the wall and pick up any sounds. Oh.
So, I'll just minimise that there. I'll just catch up in the side chat too. Just minimise that back down. What are we saying up here? So, yeah, I'm not sure if you've seen this before. Similar theory of the, crystal skulls, like a crystal radio, right? That's how crystal radios work. But I think the results are more visual. Depends on the amp frequency, yeah. That's still interesting. It's interesting science. Can I scroll up? You don't know how you feel about ghosts? And until you've had your own personal experience, it's hard to relate to paranormal. Yes, I was very skeptic of it myself until probably 1990s when my sister started having stuff happening to her, and attachments and sort of brought it into my life. I always thought there was something, as a kid, something that was watching me, you know, and then you hear nowadays that they've applied science with infrasound and ultrasound, that there might be some sort of like a refrigerator or some sort of electrical device in the house that's sending out these infrasounds that makes you feel uneasy and that you're being watched. But that doesn't explain how doors knobs would turn and doors would fling open, which I have since experienced. So I can discount that being infrasound and ultrasound because physical things moving, and also lights triggering on in the hallway as something moves down it. So yeah, I don't think so. I think there's more to it, and when I've had stuff jump on me now, and my leg being lifted up in bed, and even bedclothes, like quilts being pulled off, yeah, there's definitely something a lot more going on than just infrasound, and science is trying to debunk it. There's definitely more to it, but it still needs to be researched and investigated, of course. But until you have those own personal experiences yourself, you can't relate to it, right? It's very hard to. Yeah, I'm not sure where everybody is today. Is there something going on in UK and USA at the moment, apart from people being focused on probably watching Fox News, watching the war in Middle East or whatever? Yeah, war is stupid. There's not much we can do about it, though, really, unless everybody in the world stood up and said, stop. Stop funding it. Stop using our tax money to fund buying weapons. Why can't people live together, you know? Why do we have to keep fighting over land and resources all the time? Why can't we just share things? I don't know. Humans are strange creatures, and now they just live their lives blindly rather than wondering what the universe is, what life is really about. Why is paranormal happening, and why is there UFOs in the world? No, we're just going to fight over land and believe that it's all about God and holy land and all this nonsense, right? When it's a lot bigger picture. I don't know, people live with blinkers on, I think, in this world. So let's get back to this anyway, and leave the politics out of the window for the time being, and let's concentrate on the real stuff that's happening around us.
An open microphone in the room, in case we're getting noises within the room. And then I'll be setting up downstairs, cabling the microphones back to the window, and staying up in the
I'll post a link to this video so you can have a watch of the full show if you want to. But yeah, there's a lot in this one, including UFO stuff.
All night. So you're staying downstairs to monitor all the sounds? That's right, yeah. Now, how are you going to make sure there's no hoaxing or anything like that? That is a thought. So to try and overcome that problem, I've got some specialised security equipment, which is a sort of remotely operated movement sensor. If there's any movement, these will trigger an alarm downstairs in the room where I hopefully is still awake. Well, I'm leaving Roger to set up the rest of the gear, because the people that made those original recordings mentioned to me that they made another tape about 4 miles from here. If anything, they say that one is even more remarkable. On that occasion, voices were recorded.
So, but that could be like the walls itself are acting like a crystal radio, right? And they're picking up radio broadcasts from what's going on around them, right? Like it might be like BBC radio that they're picking up through the walls, acting like a radio, and they're just recording it. So you got to always keep that in mind, what they're talking about here.
Sitting here alone in the pub, it is tempting to believe that somehow these are voices and noises from the past, somehow recorded in the present. Certainly that's what some of the people here believe. I can make out the voices, but if they're speaking English, I have no...
Yeah, but they haven't got any science background, right? And they don't know about crystal radios clearly, and how people, even with fill-ins, were able to pick up radio broadcasts that would go through their jawbone into their ear canal, and they could actually hear voices and all that. So people were going mad in the hearing voices could actually be something physical, like a fill-in with mercury fill-in that they used to have, that's picking up broadcasts. So yeah, makes you wonder, doesn't it?
I hear what's being said, and if it's another language, I need to get a translation. Fortunately, the BBC has a unit which monitors foreign broadcasts. They've heard the recordings, and they say they can identify Arabic, but they're not sure what dialect or words are being used. But they say there's also a whole section in Russian, and there, the voice is heard saying...
So why would you have Arabic and Russians sitting in an English pub?
And I quote, "We are very glad about the possibility of a meeting." But can the tapes themselves...
Yeah, so they're glad possibly of a meeting. So that could have been like a BBC news broadcast talking about some sort of, politics happening in the Middle East there, right? So who knows? So this would have been back in the 1990s, right? So I'm not sure what was going back in those days, worldwide, but... yeah, I'm pretty sure there would have been stuff broadcast in Arabic, as well as people saying that there's going to be a meeting back in that time frame. Even 80s, even going back 80s, right?
Themselves tell us anything. The Jolly Sailor recording was originally examined at the National Audio Forensic Lab in California by Norman Pearl. I've just spoken to Norman Pearl in the USA. He's a sound expert eminent in his field, but the Jolly Sailor tapes have mystified him. He says the audible words are at normal frequency, but his sensitive equipment has picked up a second conversation far outside the range of human speech. So while some of the voices are ordinary, others appear to be extraordinary. But could the sounds be easily created? I asked the BBC's radiophonic workshop if that was possible. I can't make any definitive statements about them, but I can make one or two suggestions. I looked at the Prince of Wales tapes, which had all those strange sounds on, and to me it sounded very much like feedback, which
is what I said on the first one, right? It sounded like feedback, where the sound was going back and around in a cycle. But how had that been done, and has recording equipment, so he might be saying it was faked, maybe. But I don't think it was faked.
is if you take the output of a tape machine and feed it back into the input, you get a similar sort of sound, which is something like this. And on the Jolly Sailor tapes, where you had the speech, the most obvious thing was that the speech was at the wrong speed. It was too slow. So what I did was take that speech and speed it up. What I found to my surprise was that the speed at which it worked was twice the original speed. Now, that makes me slightly suspicious, because if you're going to try and do this with simple equipment, you do it with a reel-to-reel tape machine, which has two speeds. The speeds are always in a ratio of 2. The other thing we can say about the speech is the frequencies involved. The lowest frequency in the speech was somewhere around 500 hertz, and the highest was somewhere around 5 kilohertz. Now, that's the frequency of a radio broadcast, say a shortwave radio broadcast.
Yeah.
That's one possible explanation, but what about our experiment back in Wales? Has that turned up anything? Good morning. Good morning, Chris. Did you pick anything up? We did, amazingly. Yes, just after 3 o'clock this morning, there were 2 sets of rapping noises.
It's funny how paranormal always seems to be around that 2 a.m. to 5 a.m. range before the sun comes up. You know, the sun emits a lot of radio frequency noise when it comes up early in the morning. Yet a lot of this paranormal happens when the sun's the opposite side of the earth, right? So why is that? So is it cosmic radiation coming down still? Yeah, obviously. But yeah, why is it always around about that 3 a.m. mark? Is the kind of a strangeness
in the room. Quite interestingly different. The first set was picked up by both microphones. That's the one on the wall and the one in the room. Let's have a quick listen to those.
Sounds like a builder.
So that was recorded from the wall, almost like somebody banging against the wall. It could quite easily. But this second set of knocking is even more interesting. Now listen to this. This is just from the microphone in the room. So that's a sound being made not from the wall, but within the room itself. Within the room itself, that's right. Anybody that knows the history...
Mind you, if you ever had a refrigerator in the room, you know they'd make lots of strange noises like banging sounds. So because I got a bedroom opposite side to a refrigerator, and I always hear what sounds like banging noises. So yeah, has he eliminated all that sort of stuff? You know, I don't know. Maybe there's something on the other side of the wall. Or maybe someone was pranking him, you know. So you always got to have... always think that maybe his investigation, there was holes in his investigation where he may not had a camera on the opposite side of that wall, or maybe hanging off a lamppost high up, and also making sure that it wasn't being tampered with and all that sort of business.
This place, it used to be a courtroom upstairs, might say that sounds like a judge's gavel crashing down. Can you be absolutely sure there's nobody up there? Reasonably sure, yes, none of the sensors went off. And what about the chances of it being caused by some everyday sound? That is impossible. There are rather heavy noises. There were certainly small noises in the night, which isolated the central heating for one, and the constant little rattling from the time switch from John's experiment. So you've eliminated those. We eliminated those, definitely. Now, I asked...
So he's eliminated some other sounds on there, but the banging noise?
Do you hear, along with all this high-tech equipment, to try and shed some new light on this old mystery? How far do you think you've got? Well, I think with the results we've got, we've only added further to the mystery. And in terms of any ideas as to where the sounds have come from, I'm afraid I can add nothing to that whatsoever.
So, if it was banging on the other side of a brick wall, you know, did he have cameras outside? So we don't know, having investigated it, really. Because he was in this place here, the other place, we don't know how they investigated that either, right? Which was that white pub.
I'll go to bed now.
So this was used as a courthouse, and also they hung people outside, right?
You've seen and heard the evidence, but before you make up your mind, one more piece of information. The room where those recordings were made has been used for a club, where people drink and play practical jokes. You might think that provides a solution to the mystery, but if the noise on our own carefully controlled tape was hoaxed, I'd love to know how it was done.
Have you ever had the feeling that someone is watching you, perhaps on a bus or a train, and then you turn round to find they really are? Although 80% of the population claim that this has happened to them, these experiences are usually dismissed as mere coincidence.
Now this is quite interesting too, where the scientist takes up, you know how the people were doing like ESP experiments and stuff. Well, some scientist takes up this thing where it gets a group of people together and asks them when they feel that they're being watched. So obviously they get someone to go into a opposite room with obviously what you call it, one of those clever mirrors where you can actually see through it, but the other person can't see the other person in the other room, so they don't know when they're being watched. So I suppose that's how they could do an experiment with people, right, to know when they're being watched and see how accurate it was.
What are they? Biologist Rupert Sheldrake has conducted his own experiments into the phenomenon to discover whether we really do have this special power.
Stupid music. So this was another interesting experiment, and we know dogs seem to have like that sixth sense, right? Like I was filming the dog today when he was sleeping, and I sort of crept into the room to see if he'd notice me, and I did actually put it up here on the short. I'm actually going to put up the longer version of it, so you can see he was fast asleep, and he woke up. Whether it's super hearing, I don't know, but I was standing there for quite a while before he opened his eyes up, you know, and you can see him sleeping here. My Sony camera overexposes everything though. It's a pretty crappy phone, really. You can see he's got his eye closed there, and you can see it opens up. I was wondering if he died in his sleep, because he's getting up there in age. Look, his eyes are now starting to open up. I'm not making any sound, but I was standing there quite a minute beforehand, so I'll do the longer version. So he's got like a sixth sense. But I'll upload the longer version, and you can have a watch of it, and you can see that he's definitely in a deep sleep, and then he wakes up. He knows I'm there. And it's quite interesting. So it's a bit like this, what they're doing the experiment here with humans having a sixth sense. Whether that was like, you know, spooky action at distance effect, you know, where they're talking about where we used to be hunters, and we could sense when we're being crept up on by lions or whatever. But also animals have that sense as well. But they found out in some research that elephants could sense stuff, infrasound through their feet. So elephants, you know, sleep standing up, I believe. And maybe dogs have that sort of infrasound sense as well. Elephants, let me just check that. Sleep standing up. Let's see. Spend much of their time asleep lying down, but they also sometimes sleep standing up. We combined data from gyroscope and the activity, and we found that wild elephants mostly slept standing up. There you go. I suppose that might be like a survival thing, right? So if they've got like something creeping up on them, like a pack of lions, it gives them more time to run away, right? Wake up and then run. And if you're lying down, you got to, you know, it's a bit like you grabbing your pants, and if there's a fire, like if you wake up and there's a fire, do you run out naked? Or do you put your clothes on and then run out, you know? And you find that you can't wake up and put your leg in the right hole and all that sort of stuff. I don't know if you ever tried it, the experiment yourself. And you got elephants detect via feet infrasound. Let's see what comes up on that one. Though there are other theories which may explain the ability of elephants to accurately predict the time and location of storms. Okay, that's something else. Detection of seismic activity in their foot pads. Infrasound has undoubtedly played an important role in the evolutionary success of elephant. And of course we've got various documentaries on that which are probably copyrighted. The elephants here, ultrasound. Elephants can communicate using low frequency sounds with pitches below the range of the human hearing. Those low frequency sounds termed infrasounds can travel several kilometers and provide elements with a private communication channel. So they can communicate with each other by banging their feet down on the ground, I guess. I don't know, maybe they can make these trunk noises that resonate into the ground, and they can hear it for several kilometers right at their feet. Also, isn't that basically what whales do as well? communicate with infrasound and ultrasound. I think they're another animal. Why is it not typing? Not sure why it's not typing. I think they use infrasound or ultrasound as well. And here, very low pitch or infrasound, which can travel great distances and scatter to large areas of water. So there you go. So you've got to always keep an eye on that. Us humans are sort of probably can detect infrasound too. That gives us the creepiness, which then makes us feel that we're being watched, and then we run away, you know. So this brings in the paranormal side of things too, where it might be just a sense that we're sort of forgotten about, called ultrasound and infrasound, which impacts our body. So they know when they do horror movies now in Hollywood, they use infrasound. They put it into the audio track. And unfortunately, CDs don't record those extra sounds. They cut it off. So yeah, that's why you got the people talking about MP3s, wherever you can boost up the number of bits on it instead of using the 128. So you can actually pick up these extra frequencies in the sound that you think that we don't listen. Creates emotion, adds extra motion to the sound. So CDs, they complained that they cut it out, and you lost that sort of emotion in the sound, which is probably true. That's why people have gone back to records, you see. But now you got FLAC format, which is meant to capture the whole sound, and people started releasing their albums in FLAC. MP4, you know, like MP4 has that container where they can add all the extra information into that format, where the other formats like Xvid and all that lacked all that information. So we'll just go back to this experiment of sensing and just go through it.
As a biologist, I'm interested in the evolutionary origins of the sense of being stared at. I think one reason that it may have evolved is that if an animal knows when a predator is looking at it with evil intent, then it would be a great advantage to know that and perhaps to escape. Most people have experienced the sense of being looked at. Usually we dismiss it, it's trivial, but in life and death situations it can actually save people's lives.
Well, this was in 1950 in Malaya, when I was commanding a company of birds, and we were not quite sure whether something which we'd spotted was mist or smoke. If it was smoke, it meant that somebody was there who shouldn't have been there. So we crept around through the jungle and got it quite right. We arrived exactly in the camp, which was empty. So we thought, well, there's nobody here, that's it, we failed. And we started looking through all the stuff to see if there's any information we might pick up, and while I was doing this, I suddenly felt, by God, somebody's looking at me. It was like a sort of magnet almost behind me.
Of course, back in Vietnam days, they'd lived underground tunnels, right? Which is basically what the terrorists are using in the Middle East at the moment, next to Israel. So maybe they popped out from a foxhole, from the underground tunnel, and he sensed he was being watched.
I turned around, and there, in this long grass, about a cricket pitch away, was this chap wearing a cap with a red star on it, and of course I identified him as being one of the terrorists. And he was just raising his rifle to shoot me. So I shot him before he shot me. I'm sure there's no doubt that on this particular day it was some kind of sixth sense, and if it hadn't been for that sixth sense, I wouldn't be alive today, of course.
So Robert claims that we all have this psychic ability, a kind of telepathy, not only to sense when we're being observed, but also to be able to prompt someone else to turn around to face us if we focus at the back of their heads. Well, I find,
so you hear that often in paranormal world, right, where they say the hairs on the neck stand up or the arms stand up, and they sense there's something in the room with them. Well, this is the same sort of thing, really, isn't it?
People. I'm very interested in people. And I found over the years that if I observe people in their natural setting for too long, they become very aware of being watched. Even if somebody's way outside a normal field of vision, if they're looking the other way, they may be having a conversation with someone else, they suddenly become aware. They start losing the soft, natural position they were in and become slightly uncomfortable. Maybe they scratch their head. They're sort of aware, is all I can say, really. And
hey, Michael King's joined us on YouTube. Hey, how's it going, mate? We got this crazy pop-up thing happening here. I think I've got it working now, though. Yo, thanks for joining us. Yeah, we've got a few people unpilled, I think. It doesn't tell me the stats here, unfortunately, on the pop-up chat. I've asked for it to be added into a line at the top there so we know how many people are watching. Different smell in the air, so fascinating. Didn't know that. Yeah, so yeah, this is just the stuff that I bring on my channel, is all the stuff that other people don't talk about, right? All the other YouTube channels always talking about the same stuff all the time, you know, what's going on TV and all the drama that's happening in ufology. But I tend to want to focus on the other stuff, the more interesting stuff, the real stuff. Who cares what Lou's up to? And but we do care when we got a hate group that's trying to target us to try and bring us down, trying to bring, you know, I'm trying to bring out the real stuff, and I'm being attacked, trying to have my channel taken down by Third Phase when I expose their lying asses. But yeah, it's great that we got a lot of activity happening on Pilled. Maybe that's the future and not YouTube, right? So we've got real people that are actually interested in the stuff like we are. It's great that you're good, and should be a good time for you right now. What's it, lunchtime in UK at the moment? I've been going since, 11 AM or something. Time flies when you're having fun. But I think we got it all sorted out again, and it's all working properly since the Windows update screwed up things. So unfortunately I can't do the highlighter with Pilled. The add-on only works with YouTube, unfortunately, unless I try and figure out a hack for it and implement it on the other chat, which could be something I could work on in the future, I guess. Let me just check something here. There's always things you always have to keep adapting and improving on, right? Yeah. Not sure how I'll do that though yet. Something for the future, thinking if I ever get time. Oh, right, yeah. Thinking backwards here. You're, 12 hours behind us. So it's coming up to lunchtime here. It's night time in the UK. But still, there should be people around in the UK at 1 AM, alright? So Europe. There should be people interested in paranormal and UFOs in UK or Europe at 1 AM. And what's the time in US at the moment? You could just ask Google here. Time in USA, say New York City. It's 8 PM. It should be a perfect time to come on and interact on live streams. So in California, I think it's still early in the morning over that way. But still, there might be people that work night shifts. So it's afternoon over there. What was it? And it's evening on the other side of America. So afternoon one side, which is correct. It's 3 hours different, isn't it? So there should be a lot of people around, you'd think, on YouTube this time of day, right? But anyway, you know, can't force people to come along and join us and talk about this crazy stuff, paranormal and UFOs.
If they don't look round, they lose the pose. They do look round, and we catch eyes, and then I sort of look the other way and try not to embarrass them or myself.
So that's what she's talking about, being an artist here, and they've got a subject that she's painting, and I notice they're being watched.
But are these common experiences just superstitious myths? For the first time, experiments have taken place in California to test this phenomenon. We were interested in looking at the possibility that people's perception of being stared at from a distance is something that can't be explained by the known senses. So we monitored a specific parameter of their unconscious nervous system, what's called the autonomic nervous system. And we did that by putting sensors on the palm of their hand that would measure the sweat in their hand. And this is the same kind of procedure that's used in a lie detector test, where you're attempting to get an unconscious reaction on the part of a participant. At random times and repeated with many different people, one person would stare at another via a closed-circuit television. The person being stared at had no idea when this was happening. But the results seemed to indicate that unconsciously they did know, because their nervous system reacted during these times. So these data suggest that, in fact, there is some kind of subtle information transfer that takes place between two people that isn't explained via the 5 conventional known senses.
Spooky action at a distance, or maybe not. Again, we're talking about infrasound. Maybe the body detects it and causes sweat and causes the hairs to go up on your skin, which you detect, and then makes you react to it. But like I was talking about the dog, you know, he knew I was standing there filming him, but he was in deep sleep. But I will put up the full video at some stage, and yeah, I'm not sure if I got it on the hard drive here. Let's have a look. I was meant to be backing it up. Yeah, looks like I might have backed it up. Yeah, I'll upload it onto YouTube at some stage. Whereabouts did I put it though? I stuck it on another drive somewhere. I'll come back to it another day maybe. But yeah, you can see how dogs, they did the thing with dogs. Dogs always would wake up and go towards the window and look out just before the owner would show up. I don't know if you've experienced that with your own pets, but they seem to have this uncanny sixth sense. You could be like a block away and know you're coming home.
Most experiments so far, people have known they're taking part in an experiment. A better kind of experiment, because it's closer to real life, is to have a situation where people don't know when they're being looked at. And that kind of experiment can reveal much more about this phenomenon in its natural setting.
Tonight we're going to help Rupert Sheldrake carry out his experiment here at Television Centre to test if people really do have this kind of sixth sense. In an hour's time, a studio audience for an entirely different programme will enter the building. The audience will come along a couple of corridors and then they'll begin to queue on these stairs as they wait to go into Studio 8. Now naturally, their backs will be facing a piece of darkened glass behind which are Rupert and his assistants. Now they'll be staring intently at various members of the audience in the queue. Obviously you can see them at the moment, but if we switch the lights off, they become invisible.
We'll have 1 minute periods when we look and 1 minute periods when we don't look. The point is to compare whether people turn around more when we're looking than when we're not looking.
Okay, Tim. Begin to stare.
We're not all going to look at the same person.
Generally, how pleased have you been? Obviously you have to analyse the results, but how pleased are you with the experiment?
Well, I think it's quite good. I mean, we had some people who really did seem to turn around in response to our looking. In fact, this woman here, she looked as if she was slightly nervous, and significant that she was on her own. People who are busy talking to somebody else or with a friend don't react much, I've found, in these situations. But before she turned around, it was interesting, she was touching the back of her head, and she obviously felt nervous and probably slightly vulnerable.
Oh, it's just stroking you here.
When we interviewed people who turned around, none of them said they were conscious of being stared at.
I'm not surprised people said they weren't conscious of being looked at. This is largely an unconscious response. It only becomes conscious when you make eye contact. And the people doing the looking were hidden in this case, so that never happened. Over the last few weeks, I've been looking at these results in detail, and they've been evaluated by 3 people working blind, in other words, who didn't know when we were looking and when we weren't looking. The results show that 27 people turned round when we were looking, and 12 people turned round when we weren't looking, and this difference is statistically significant. Obviously, this experiment needs to be repeated, but the results of this first experiment are very encouraging indeed.
The problem is, with that experiment that he was doing there was too many people in a group, right? So you got too many other factors, right? So you really need to have someone that's you want to put in a house alone for the night and actually have it set up so they don't know about a secret room with a mirror where people were there watching them, and do it that way. I reckon that would be a lot more interesting experiment and more factual with the stats, rather than having people walk up a stair with other people, right? But, you know, that's the problem. As a scientist myself, would see the problems there in the experiment. You know, I look for things like that. So what are we saying up here at the moment? Almost 5 p.m. Yeah. That's why I always look it up online, because of time. You know, you get daylight savings and all that sort of stuff that messes you up. Temperature changes, that's another good one too, yeah. I've heard you can smell roses when a soul is helped to move on. Yeah, I'm not really experienced strange smells, but now when you mention it, there has been cases where mum's made comment about smelling something in the house, and I said, no, it's not me. Sometimes smoking like cigars, you can detect smoke. If you're not a non-smoker, you can detect when someone smoked. Even if they're claiming to have given up smoking, you always know when they've cheated, because you can smell it on them if you're a non-smoker. So yeah, do you detect strange sense of paranormal? I'm pretty sure I have when I think about it, but I'm just trying to think. It's a bit like that one where on the front door camera, it sounded like the toilet was always being flushed when there was no one up, or during the day it sounded like it was under the sea, and we just said, oh yeah, it's just some sort of camera anomaly. But then the camera doesn't do that anymore. But then I did do a firmware update, so maybe that fixed that problem, so we don't know now. And I did change the power supply, so maybe it was noise from the power supply. So you always got to think of these things when you're doing research. You got to always keep an eye on before and after effect of when you change things in the experiment. But yeah, moving on. When you think you are alone, people always stare at me in public. I'm not sure what you mean there. Where you think you are alone, people always stare at me in public. What did I miss? Imagine the tubular organs. Yeah, that sound they're playing on that was kind of giving me little creepy vibes in the headset here. You're not just here, but feel the sound. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, you got to remember, if you like on telephone, it always sounds like the voices have been clipped. That's because they get rid of the lower frequencies and the upper frequencies, and only just bring you the voice of the human voice frequencies. And that's why it always sounds bad when people phone in on talk shows, right? Because they've clipped the frequencies. But on voice over internet, you don't have all that nonsense now. and you can actually play music and actually hear it properly. You know, when you're always on those hold lines where you push numbers on the phone for talking to a fake person, and they play that music. It always sounds shit on the phone, right? It's glad that we'll be getting away from that old technology, and I think maybe the mobile phones have started improving. They're not clipping the sound that they're transmitting like they used to, because the bandwidth has got better. I agree, the test should be conducted when subject... Yeah, okay, right, I understand. Yeah. So I'll just zoom in to read that because it's a small font there. And we'll just carry on.
Would like you to help him with future research into staring. He's designed a simple experiment taken from his book, 7 Experiments That Could Change the World. We've put the details onto a fact sheet, and if you'd like a copy, please send a stamped addressed envelope.
Okay, so that's all we got on that one. But it's still interesting. It was interesting little... So on to the next one now. So this is talking about a UFO case now. So it's all quite interesting on the show. I'll share the link so you can watch it properly in your own time. But you can see it's a munted copy. Probably why it hasn't been taken down, because it hasn't been detected. It's called the VHS archives. So that's probably why it hasn't been detected, because the quality is so poor on this. Ooh, a freaky sound.
I was in the bathroom at 5:35 a.m. I looked out the window, which was only half open, and saw a brilliant blue-white light.
I too saw this light from my bedroom window. I sat on the edge of the bed waiting for explosion, but nothing happened.
Explosion? Why would you think explosion with a light in the sky? A plane crashing.
What have you got on today when we've got much today? No, we've got a lot of gold today. Yeah,
Oh, they're dragging it out, aren't they? Creepy music. Boom, boom. Oh yeah, definitely a UKer. They like their cigs. So I'm not sure if they're friends or a couple. Gay girls or not.
It's a round object, solid object. It was a creamy white, wasn't it? Yeah. And it was, it's sort of the underside, you sort of got like a bit cut out, and just a sort of a tiny thing sticking out at the end of it. And because he had this light coming from it, and that was very bright. I thought, well, that's no helicopter.
Well, they kind of look gayish. So I don't know.
Hey, you know, I thought it's a UFO, and I'm just staying up.
So that one's Helen. So the sisters, are they? Helen Thomas. So let's go back. What was it? Let's just see. Are they sisters? Where'd they put the name label up there? I'll just go from there. I don't know if I'd simply grab someone right next to me because a spotlight comes on.
It's a round object, solid object.
So what's her name?
It was a creamy white, wasn't it?
Okay, they must be sisters. Well, maybe not. Maybe they're a married couple because they'd keep the same last name, wouldn't they? I don't know.
Yeah. And it was, sort of the underside, you sort of got like a bit cut out, and just a sort of a tiny thing sticking out at the end of it. And because he had this light coming from it, and that was very bright. I thought, well, that's no helicopter or plane. You know, I thought it's a UFO, and just looking at it, I thought, it's just amazing what we've seen. Just barely seconds, it seemed, to be honest. And then next week we sort of this field light went back up into smoke effect thing, and we sort of stood here, just aghast. Yeah.
Well, I've known Cal and Helen ever since I've been here. That's nearly 11 years, and I've never known them to be late at all. Never.
Well, we walked up to work and we always waved to the security guard, and we always checked to see the commentaries.
When they arrived, I have to log them in on my duty, anybody that commented, in fact, and they were over an hour late when I logged them in, so I noticed the time specifically, like.
All right, John. When we looked that morning, there was no clock on that wall. None at all.
None at all.
It was completely bare. How do we have any system?
Well, this clock that's behind me, it's a master clock for all the factory. It's been here for donkey's years, even before I started work. And they swore this clock just wasn't there when they arrived.
Well, we came out in the morning, I just opened myself. They come in, I was visibly shocked about something, and asked,
missing time.
So what's the matter? And they reckon they'd seen something, they couldn't quite explain what they'd seen.
They just seemed like shocked and said, explain, they'd seen something.
Of course, that happened to Robert Farmer. He's the guy we have on sometimes. He was walking his dog, and when he got home, his parents said, where you been for a couple of hours? And he says, I haven't been, you know. I don't know if you ever heard his story about seeing a UFO when he was out fishing with a mate. And then later he talked about walking his dog and he had missing time and all that sort of stuff. So, yeah. So these guys obviously got missing time. So they obviously were interfered with.
You said, what have you seen? Just something in the sky. And then they said, we think it was a UFO.
And it also appeared to have a glow about it, and they've seen slightly burn, say radiation burning.
All the hair was wet. Yeah, the hair was wet. What's your face? Your face?
Sunburn.
And then he looked down at the hands, all the parts of the body that wasn't covered, just like sunburn. Yeah, well, when we come into the house, we sort of excited telling everybody all about it, and that's when I sort of thought, fingers look sort of red.
Sounds like the Betty Case incident, right? Where they had that diamond UFO and they got radiation burns. But that was almost sounded like a government experimental craft using a nuclear reactor, because that was followed by like 40 Chinook helicopters, that one. This one doesn't sound like it's the same, but it sounds like it's got some sort of, I don't know, maybe that intense beam of light that hit them, maybe that had UV in it, and maybe it caused them to get skin burns, I don't know. They weren't tested for radiation by the sounds of it.
And as the day wore on, it sort of got redder. And then I looked at my neck, and I could see sort of the...
See, UKers, they're known to have really fair skin, because it's not like Australia or New Zealand where you got more sun, and when they come to as tourists in Australia, they always get sunburn if they don't use sun lotion, right? Back in the old days, they were called POMs, because they always would turn a bright red after being there for a week in Australia, and it refers back to the pomegranate, which are a red fruit, and that's where the name POM comes from in Australia.
I'd be sort of like local from there.
So if that beam of light from the UFO had UV in it, maybe they just got sunburnt.
And that could be. And the hair, it was just sort of really tacky, and sort of like loads of lack of the back on it. It felt, really sort of, really funny. And I couldn't run my fingers through it, it was sort of all bitter. And then you said about your jacket, I mean, yeah. But I noticed that my jacket was wet and very sticky. It's the jacket I had on. And it was all across the back part and the shoulders, sort of all, as if it had been melted, not melting. It was very sticky and like on my arms. And yet that
what I find interesting about this case is in a built-up area. You think there'd be more people that would see it, right? But 5 in the morning, maybe people are still in bed, right?
So it's just very clear morning.
So I said to my sister, well, try drawing what you've seen. I tried drawing in a separate room. And see what happened, they both didn't come back exactly the same thing, they got back to the same thing. That was the most astonishing thing.
This is what we saw, it's sort of a round object. The spaceship, what we're seeing, it's sort of got round, sort of going flat, more or less to the top of it, with its sort of a thing, just, sort of like a bit missing.
Not very good at drawing.
There's a beam of light which come all the way down, a torch shining.
And we sort of held each other in this beam of light.
That does sound like a helicopter, doesn't it?
It's all in your bed. And we sort of powered each other. Back into the moon.
See, it's not convincing unless they got it on CCTV.
They know something very, very strange had happened to them going to work, but it was something I couldn't account for because it went into the back of their minds. Until one day they actually saw a newspaper article which referred to the alien abduction phenomenon, and they found that the things written in this newspaper were almost identical to what had occurred with them. As a result of this, they contacted me.
So they're saying maybe other people saw the UFO following days in different locations.
And told me what had occurred, what they remembered. And I interviewed them at length on this, and I was fairly happy me own man by what they told me. Things they couldn't possibly have known, that there seemed to be an alien abduction involved.
We was really nervous. In fact, we was really frightened as we were in this regression. We heard some strange stories, didn't we? I felt so emotional to think I was literally going up, and then next to me, I was sort of in this spacecraft, and it's just, I couldn't believe myself, and I'm there. It's small, like 3 feet.
Regression is a form of hypnosis where...
Of course, most skeptics don't like regression because you can create false memories, right? Depends how you ask the questions. I'm just checking the comments. There we go. Missile. Yeah, it's all good. Just carry on.
Go back in time so that an individual has had an experience in the past which they maybe have forgotten for whatever reason. You take them back to the time, and regressive hypnosis can actually bring back the memories of the things that have been forgotten. Tell me about the room.
It's white. It's so white. Like it's rained. I can see Helen.
So that's very common to abduction experiences, isn't it?
She's on the board. It's shaped.
Also, out-of-body experiences or going to heaven.
Like a table. Like a school table. There's something on the ceiling. It looks like operating something which will come down. My eyes, they're looking into my eyes. It feels like a burning sensation in my eye. They look like grey people. I think more white than those grey, like, and big almond eyes, very big. And you can hardly see a nose, but you know a nose is there, and a mouth. And sometimes the mouth is not there. And other times, you know, sort of a line. In fact, sometimes you can see like a only tiny red line.
So this is the thing I don't understand. If they got almond big eyes, you'd think they'd be more sensitive to all that bright light that they're talking about in that room. So makes you wonder if the eyes actually got a black covering over them, like sun shades, right? That blocks out all that bright light. But you'd think if it was like insectoids, you know, the aliens being parts insect DNA, but more bipedal than different type of makeup where they can be larger than insects but actually function with a exoskeleton, because they reckon you can't scale up an ant because it would crush under its own body weight, right? They only operate on the small scale. You can't actually scale up a mantis or an ant because they just wouldn't work with the exoskeleton system. So if aliens are insect based with big eyes that are more sensitive to light and see more around them, having a bright light in a room sort of is a bit of a conflict for me. You think they'd be operating in a dark room where the eyes are more sensitive and they can see better than humans in pitch blackness, or maybe infrared light even, or thermal. So yeah, are they making it up? See, she's looking this way here, so I don't know if they're making it up, because normally if you look at body language with the NLP, or whatever it's called, the neural linguistic programming, When someone's telling the truth, they always look this way to retrieve facts. It's just a natural body language thing that happens when people don't realize they're doing it, and they look this way when they're making up a story. So when you look right, which is that side to us, it means they're making up a story. If they're looking left, that's retrieving mental facts.
Touching my face, touching my hair now, looking at my heart, they're looking at my eyes.
What basically is happening is people are being examined medically. They're having toenails removed, they're having hair removed, they're having skin samples removed. I think what impressed me most about this case
and sperm or eggs or whatever
is the fact that when they were under hypnosis at separate times, the stories, the graphic descriptions, the things that were done to them were absolutely identical. What they did to one person, they did to another person.
His skin feels wet. He's put his hand on my face. My face feels wet. It's cold. I'm in a dark room now. I've got my clothes on and my jacket. I call out then for my mum.
I'm happy I saw that UFO in the morning instead of seeing that. It's just so fantastic. But not to be abducted in a way which is...
So, yeah, she's right there. Because most of them happen when you're in your sleep, right? At least they were awake when it happened.
It hadn't happened. No, it wasn't us. Because people tend to think, yeah, she's, mad or...
Some people do think we're mad. The bird people, you hear them say, but we know we're not
so
mad. We both
there's is one of millions of cases where it's not sleep paralysis, right? You hear all the skeptics always debunking abduction accounts as sleep paralysis. But, this is one where two people were together when it happened. Sometimes other people see the abduction happen just before the sunrise as well. And other people may have seen it. We don't know, because really we don't know how this case was researched or investigated or reported. Where there are other people that may have saw the bright light. But at the beginning of this particular one, there was a guy saying he saw it too, the light in the sky, which they were seeing as well. But so there must have been other witnesses to it.
You know what we saw?
So how Mick West explained this one away, probably so that everybody was lying or whatever.
So is there a conventional scientific explanation for what happened to Carol and Helen that morning? Dr. Richard Wiseman, a psychologist who specialises in the paranormal, went to see them.
Over the past few years, I've investigated several cases where people claim to have seen UFOs and been abducted by aliens. Many of these cases just involve one witness, and it's possible this person is lying, mistaken, or unreliable.
Yeah, this is what I was just saying.
What's impressive about this case is that not only does it involve Helen and Carol, but also several other locals who saw exactly the same phenomena.
I looked out the window and saw a brilliant blue-white
I too saw this light from
That's what I was just saying, wasn't it? There you go.
my bedroom window.
Could it have been a searchlight from a helicopter maybe quite a way up, and we are on the flight path here?
No, definitely not. Because there's no noise, and we regularly hear helicopters, and they're very noisy. There's just no noise whatsoever.
We have quite a lot of police helicopters around here searching for kids and that, and it's nothing like them.
It's simply because it was too, there was no noise.
It's too bright as well.
There was no noise, and it just looked like the moon. I've never seen an helicopter shaped come in before.
So exactly where did the light come from?
It comes from directly above. I think it's higher than the flat. It just comes straight down from above onto us both.
So that sounds like a real UFO. You don't see it going left or right in the sky. It comes straight from above, hovers right over them, then shoots off straight vertically again. Makes sense to go up and down from a really high altitude, but like the Tic Tac 2004 incident, right? And then when they're high up in the sky, move left and right. That makes more sense. So you can move great distances high up, and then when you're over where you want to land or abduct people, go shooting straight downwards. Then just hover over their house. That makes more sense to me than moving low down where there's plane flight paths and all that flying around, where you can have a collision when you can just do that high up in space where no one could see what's going on, and then zoom straight down. So I reckon this is a really credible case here, like this guy's saying. There's other witnesses, there's 2 people. It's really hard to debunk it.
With some of the physical effects, the burns and the headaches and the nosebleeds, I wonder whether...
You could say that everybody's in on it, and everybody's lying, right?
The stress of seeing the light could have brought some of those on. Do you think they were just stress related?
I don't think so, because we're stressed.
See how I was talking about body language. You see how she looked this way? She was retrieving information to answer the question. She isn't looking this way to make up a story. So the whole thing about this one is coming across really credible. Why is my mouse not working?
About it, because we thought so marvellous what we had saw. We saw, look what we saw. We actually saw a UFO, and we didn't even think of anything that's been took away or anything. We just saw this bright light, and then we went to work.
This is where Helen and Carol work. When they arrived, they said they couldn't see the clock on the wall and had lost an hour of time.
Why wasn't the clock on the wall? That's kind of strange.
I think their earlier experience in the alleyway had left them confused and dazed. One of the impressive aspects of the case is that under aggression, you both came out with very similar stories. Do you think that maybe you discussed the case together before you regressed, or you'd read the same books or read the same articles?
See how she now retrieving information again? She's not looking this way to make up a story.
And that's why your stories were so similar.
No, because we didn't think before we were going to be...
Okay, she's looking that way because she's looking at his sister. And this one's looking this way. So she's trying to retrieve memories as well.
Yeah, we've actually got both very fortunate about being regressed.
See how she's looking upwards? So she's being really truthful here.
We didn't know what sort of things you would probably see in the spaceship or anything like that. You know, so we wouldn't know what to talk about together, about saying what tests they'd done or anything.
See, those that haven't been following me for a while, if you study NLP eyes, you can bring up a chart how to work out if people are lying to you. Just bring up that. Is there anyone that opened up here big? I'll just have to zoom in. So there you go. Constructed sounds, constructed visual, movement, and this is remembering visual, remembering audio, and feelings, right? Or looking straight down, you're accessing internal dialogue. They haven't got that one looking straight down, and all these will be the same. Just different pictures and stuff, right? So it's a known thing. Eye accessing cues in NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, are movements of the eyes in certain directions, visual audio movement, neuro-linguistic programming, people make movements with their eyes. Yeah, just trying to find a good one. Bottom line, NLP techniques seem like a helpful way to improve. Give me, it's got clipped off here. Can we close that down? I have to go to all. No, here it is here. Where was that on? Self-image, emotional well-being. It may not hurt to give them a try. That's not really what I was after, but anyway, it's just everybody does it unless you're aware of it and you're trying to defeat it. So if you're like a professional liar, con man, you probably know about your eyes giving away whether you're lying or telling the truth, and try and counteract it, right? So if you're watching my channel now, you're probably thinking, next time I tell a lie, I got to be aware of that.
We didn't know know anything really about abductions then. Read a lot about
So she's always retrieving audio information there.
UFOs, but not abduction cases, plus we thought, because we knew at the alley, we heard a rustling sound before this bright light come, so we thought, we was going to be regressed to think that we saw something in the alleyway.
See, looking this way.
What we shouldn't have saw. So we thought, well, I wonder what we did.
It would help if they were, like, being interviewed separately, though.
See, was it going to be a green man or something really frightening, will it frighten us? So the spaceship, or anything like that, was, I didn't even think of it. We didn't think that would be took up there now.
Now, some people think that hypnosis is a way of finding out true facts. Other people think that it gives people a sort of license just to fantasize and make things up. Did it feel, when you were saying these things, like a real memory, or did it feel like you might have been making them up?
No, I felt quite emotional, really, when you're sort of looking around the room and then you see, like, a sort of a grey being come to you, so I felt quite emotional. It's sort of, it's like a bit of a shock, but yet sort of weren't so much frightened, just emotional.
Makes you wonder if they had anything else happen since then. They should go back and interview the people and say if they've seen any more UFOs or any more experiences. Anyway, I'll post the link to that. Looks like we watched most of it, or all of it, almost there. So that's a BBC series from the 90s. Looks like a quite interesting series, actually, which would probably be very hard to find copies of. You probably might be able to even, I don't know if they don't always sell these old series on DVD. A lot of the shows from the past they didn't bother putting out on DVDs. So this is saying it's off VHS tape, so it must have been an old show on old technology that they haven't migrated across for people to buy. It's called Out of This World. Carol Wonderman, or whatever that name is. Be interesting to find more of them online. There are probably a few more episodes online that you can watch. Although BBC would love to put a copyright strike for me going through that, even though what I did there was fair use. They're getting nice free advertising of the show, aren't they? It's always about money. So, moving on to Gary Rowe of Swansea UFO Network. He presents a lot of cases that he was investigating, and I thought this was quite an interesting one as well. So you probably could sub to that one too. I'll post a link after we have a look at it. Is YouTube still working, guys? You're very quiet on the side chat there. Let's see where I got it queued. I think I got it queued on this one here. About the chef, I think it is. But you can see this is where we need that audio improving software, because it's really bad audio on it.
This fascinates me because,
as you can tell, I hate these type of presentations to what we got nowadays, like how we're doing it right now, where you can bring up images with HD quality and nice clear audio, hopefully. So yeah, I had a plugin which I've disabled because it interferes with that there, right? But if I enable the other plugin, how can I turn it on? What was it called now? We can use the equalizer to improve that quite a lot. If it wasn't me, if I recorded this, I'd remaster it and make it better and then re-upload it. I'm pretty sure I did have it on this. Why can't I see it? Maybe I have to go into extensions. Let's see if I can find it and turn it on. Oh, here it is. Audio equalizer. So if I turn it on, it now screws up the shift one. As you'll see, it doesn't work anymore. And if I reload it, oh, here it is. It's quite good. I had it set for this video. It's on there at the moment. Let's see if it's improved it.
This is
I think you have to hit the reload button up here. Let's have a look.
Now this fascinates me.
Okay, it's working now, you see. So what I've done is I've amped some of the middle frequencies up and got rid of the echo on this part here. But if I turn it off, that's original.
Because this is a bit further down in Denby itself, but still on the main road. And this is called the Brookhouse Mill. It used to be a working water mill, there is still a water wheel there, and they do fine food and good ales there. They forced me one Christmas, because I put some equipment in there, to have to spend the Christmas dinner in there. It was absolutely all there. It was all.
But if I try and go to the pitch shift one now, it conflicts with it. So I should be able to.
It was very worrying because they locked us in all
it
day.
turns off all the time.
And they told us, please help yourself to all the drinks you can, because we're trying to get rid of them. And so we did. And very interesting it was too. But anyway, opposite here, there's a road. Where this tree is, you can see on the side, there's a road going up to Rill. Straight up there would lead you to Rill. And the other side of it are some little cottages. They're still there. And the chef who worked in here lived in those little cottages. So he gets up very early in the morning, he goes over to start his ovens and whatever it is he does preparing, because they do an enormous amount of food in here. So obviously he's got a lot of work to do. So early in the morning, he walks across this road, and he gets to just outside this building when a disc comes over at extremely low level and beams the light down to where he is. He is absolutely gobsmacked. He's quite worried about it because he doesn't know whether it's going to fall on the building or beam him up or whatever it's going to do, but he's very concerned about it. And so he actually reported it, and he reported it to the police, and he also reported it to UFO people, which is where, of course, I came in. What he didn't know is while he was stood out there and this thing was over him, a car travelled up this road from Rithing, going up the road towards Rill, with 2 police officers in it. A police car with 2 police officers in it. And the 2 police officers obviously saw this object, and they took a detailed account of it, and they went back to their station, and they reported it, and I managed to get a copy of the files of that actual report, and it really is a very good description. I mean, if a policeman can't describe something to us, we've got no chance, have we? But they did. And it's extremely good. It's identical to what this chef had reported. Please could I have another one? It was such an important case that Flying Saucer Review, which is a famous magazine, I don't know whether it's still going, but it used to go for years and years, actually produced an article about it, interviewed the people, and it was their front page. And you see a UFO drawn in and a beam down trying to represent what the chef had seen.
Yeah, it's a pretty crappy image, isn't it? That's what I hate about these presentations. Like, I'd redo all this information if we could get hold of the information and do it properly on my show. But I've just been trying to get hold of this guy, but he hasn't bothered replying, unfortunately.
Thank you.
Actually, I'll just check the comments up here. I see some more popped up. Mum and daughter. Yeah, it could be. Yeah, I didn't think about that. I thought it was 2 sisters. I am multitasking watching Ancient Mysteries at the same time. Well, you can always watch my show after it's finished airing. My first impression was a bug, ant, lobster, and crab. What's this? My first impression was a bug, ant, lobster, and crab exoskeleton. You talking about your experience? Well, this as we're talking about a few live shows back now, a couple of months ago, talking about Sabaka Memo, which is the smoky gun, talking about UFO crashes. And that was talking about the beings having a exoskeleton which allows them to withstand the high accelerations that humans can't withstand inside UFOs. But we know that you can't scale up insects because they crush under their own weight. But it doesn't mean there's not a possibility of DNA to change where they've got a hard shell but it's not super heavy. It may not be the same thickness, right? It may be like carbon nanotubes types exoskeleton they have. It may not be like insects have. So yeah. So if you go back to what I was talking about, a UFO case I looked at from a Skywatcher when he filmed a UFO over a waterway, and he didn't even notice at the time that this window opened up with a being in it that looks like a alien grey. I forgot what I was going to say now. Oh yeah, when I did my analysis on it, it definitely looks like a insectoid type creature with a dogman type face. You could see the arms moving around, but yeah, was it hoax? We can't be 100% sure is the problem with that case, because the guy wasn't fully transparent with getting us daytime footage and all that. He said he might give it to me when he moves out the area, but I think he's moved out the area and he hasn't sort of given it to me. So, but he talked about this. He talked about also that he was crossing the river when a small UFO from the bigger one approached him, had a mantis in it, which is what you're talking about. Look closer to an ant or insect. And it had a mantis head with the big eyes and multiple forearms, is it? And it was staring at him to see if he was a threat to the operation, that they were doing something in the forest. So he's keeping a close eye on him, because he's crossing the waterway trying to get closer to where all the lights were to better film what was going on. And this mantis and this little craft come up to him and got in his way. And as he was trying to reach into his backpack to bring out the handy cam to record it, it zoomed off. So yeah, that's one of his stories. But he sent it in an email. I don't think he talked about it on voice. Well, he might have done, because he did come back on live stream on the corner and started talking about it, and we asked him questions about it. I'm not sure if that was one of them though. Now I think about it, it's been a long time since I've done that. But yeah, it's an interesting case. But here's another one here that's very similar to those two girls talking about the beam of light coming down. Totally unrelated case, and different times as well.
Where am I up to? Okay, come level, please. Right. This is totally mystifying. I'm there collecting information about things that are going on up and down this line, and this appears in the paper. What's this all about? Well, I'll tell you. A farmer in one of those fields, under the line where the UFOs travel, is ploughing his field, and up comes a suitcase. So he opens this suitcase, and in there is an amazing radio transmission equipment, textbooks and film, and this equipment is state-of-the-art in the world at the time, absolutely state-of-the-art. The equipment was specially made for the KGB and only for the KGB. It was not made for anybody else. So it's a very rare item, and it took me a long time before I was able, and you can see it, MP is a questioning the Ministry of Defence and the like, what on earth is going on that the Soviets have got, secret radio transmitters down this valley. One more, please. This is photographs of the actual equipment. It took me a long time to get pictures of this. You will not believe what I do. And again, please. And again, please. As you can see, quite a bit of gear, all locked away in a case. Thank you.
What was the? Did it come down from the UFO? Did it? It's sort of we're talking about the chef. Let's just go back again. Is that a different case he's come up with?
Oh, please. Right, that's looking directly across the golf club, and you can
let's just go back on that. So I was talking about the chef before, and then it changed to that, didn't it?
And they're specifically the ones which I'm pretty certain are not any kind of military craft, which are the real thing.
Alright, that was another case, wasn't it? Just go back a bit. Talking about this area here. The Surf Life Centre. Oh yeah, it's quite interesting, this one. That was near the castle, wasn't it? The castle was somewhere else.
Station. And that's it there. It's a brick building, as you can see. The lifeboat's in the bottom. There's the road. They watch this right round the Liverpool Bay. Now it's very hard to determine from the eyewitnesses that I've studied whether the object was, as the dotted line shows, over the land at this point or still over the sea. So if you're looking at it this way, you see it, right, and from the land, but it may or may not be over the land, it may still be over the sea. I'll just point that out to you. But the one thing that's most important I want you to realise is where it ends, where the arrowhead of that ends. Now I didn't make this report myself, as I said, it's a report conducted by other people. But when it got outside Riddle, no more reports were made of it. The next Coast Guard station on Corwin Bay there was looking out, ready for the object to come along. It didn't come along any further. It only got as far as Riddle. So you can imagine, I was very interested in this, so I just moved into the area.
So what happened to the UFO? Did it simply disappear into the sea, or did it shoot strictly upwards into space? Yeah.
And here we've got this amazing set of reports by numerous witnesses, all talking of the same object that had been witnessed. Okay. I simply asked the question, why? There can be only two real explanations. One, it went up into the sky, or two, it moved inland, and there could actually be a third one. It might have gone down in the water. But just bear with me a while, and I'll make it all a little sense. My dear wife and I are walking along the promenade in Rill, which is very beautiful. Come up and see us sometime, sunny Rill. And we're walking along the promenade, and we come upon the Coast Guard station, where we've got a smashing lifeboat. And if I can have the next slide, please. This is our modern Coast Guard station here. Now, that little building on the extreme left of your picture with two yellow blobs on it is actually the Coast Guard station, which used to be on the top of our lifeboat station until we had a new one built. So if we can have another slide, please. Here it is today. There's our modern thing. This is too small to be the Coast Guard station. The windows are too small. And again, please. Carry on, please. There we are. This is the Coast Guard station, which is now at the back bit, which is completely useless for seeing anything, by the way. Next, please. Right. Here, I've managed to dig out one of the original photographs before they built the new station. And that's it there. It's a brick building, as you can see. The lifeboat's in the bottom. There's the launch ramp. Grill in the background there. But on the top of it, you'll see what looks like an aircraft radar room at the top. But it's actually the Coast Guard station. You can see the little windows around it. Can anybody at the back see any of these?
Okay. Yeah, it's really blurry, mate.
If you want to later on, I've got the actual original pictures with me, so I can have a look. But there's all little windows around it, and they sit in there, and they look out to sea and try to save lives. We're walking up in some lovely sunny day, as you just like along there. And there's a sign outside I've never seen before. It says, Coast Guard Station, open day. So I thought, wow, it's a good opportunity. So I said to my dear wife, who was so delighted to spend some of her sunny day in Brill going into a lifeboat station. As you can imagine, if you're married, you'll know what I mean. Right.
Get on
so
with the UFO.
We went upstairs, and in there was an old man and a young man. So I played the devil's advocate, which I do frequently when I'm trying to find the truth out. I look through these windows like this. So, wow, fantastic view. God, you can see right out to sea here. Wow, it's absolutely amazing.
It reminds me of the guy of Dad's Army, that TV show.
You know all these crackpots that see these, what do they call them, flying saucer things, you know. You're sat up here every day looking out of these big windows. You don't see anything like that, obviously. And I pause. And the young man says to the old man, tell him about the one that come up out of the sea last week. So, don't be daft. What do you mean come up out of the sea? What, an aircraft or what? It's flares. Oh, no, he said. These come up out of the water and went against the prevailing wind. The flares don't do that. He said, and then they just stood there, and didn't do anything for ages. And we're going, binoculars now, eyeing them. What on earth can that be? Is it some kind of signal? Is it, have we got to launch the boat? What are we got to do? And they're looking at it, and then all of a sudden it started to grow bigger rapidly. And what they discovered, of course, it was coming straight to them, straight at them, from over the top of the water. This is not something, by the way, 20,000 feet up in the air, one of the aeroplanes from Liverpool Airport. This is down above the water, just above the water. And it just misses the top of this when it goes over them. And it goes straight inland from there. And if you look at the very top of my picture, you see a lot of green and grassy land. Yes, it went over the top of that tent, but in 5 seconds, it was already over the green and grassy lands. Why? Because there is something called the Clwyd Veil. You can just, if you look carefully at the top left-hand corner, see some mountains starting to poke up. What happens is there's 2 mountain ranges. The mountain range on your left is much higher than the mountain range on your right, but they're both high mountain ranges, and the valley in between them is vast and wide. I did some research and I found out that RAF Valley fly low-flying aircraft down here occasionally, and what they do is they try to bomb Denby Castle without being seen on any of the radar, which means they were flying less than 200 feet off the ground. Doesn't sound like much, but when the jet comes over you from absolutely nowhere and it's 100 foot off the ground, it nearly takes your head off and frightens the living daylights out of you. Because I've been there.
Tell us it's not a UFO but planes.
Down there viewing. So, it's straight down there. Now the advantage is, the minute you enter that range, which is only just the other side of where you see those buildings, nobody can see you, neither civil aviation or RAF Valley radar. No radar can actually see you in that trough.
So I'm just trying to see what he's trying to talk about here. It looks like we've got a hill range here, and in the distance there's another hill range there. So there's a trough in between. I think that's what he's talking about.
The objects then go down this range all the way to the town of Denby. And then they usually turn at Denby and go in another trough out to the Denby Moors. Now if you get yourself a map and open it up to the Denby Moors, you'll find that with a careful placement of a pin, You could stick it in the Denby Moors 9 miles from any building of any kind. That's how remote it can be. And if you step off the road up there and start walking across those hills and so on, you could be lost in no time, and believe you me, it's really hard to find your way around there. There's only one main road that goes all the way over the top of the Denby Moors, just one. Okay, can I have a map now for North Wales? That's a view, by the way, from the Coast Guard station. It's very exciting, as you can see. All the new bathers in the front and the people in the back waiting from the Isle of Man. Right, here we are. Map of North Wales. Now what you're looking at there, apart from this tangled mess that you can't see at all from the back, is look at the coast part, that's the blue water bit, and you'll see 2 blobs in there. The blob on your left-hand side is Israel, and the blob on your right-hand side is Prestatyn. And this yellow band that comes down here, can anybody see a yellow band from there?
No.
No? It's not too far back, move up. Anyway, that yellow band down there is the Clwyd mountain range. Okay? And this bit of a band down here
I think he's talking about there.
is also the range on the other side. It's pretty good, you know, Dave. I tell you what, I've got brilliant operatives here. Absolutely fantastic. So, once you've entered this trough,
so
virtually do what you like.
So the lifeboat place would have been there, is it? And the UFO came out the sea, flew over the top of them, and went down the valley. Sounds like planes, though. So what's he talking about?
Obviously, in broad daylight in the summer, it's a bit dicey because people may just see you, even though it's extremely hard to see anything that's only just above the houses. If you fly something high in the sky, everybody can see it. If you fly it just above the height of a house, nobody can see it unless you're standing underneath it, because it's obscured by all the buildings around you. Try it yourself and you'll see. You look down your garden and think something's just above the roof of your house. See how easy it would be to disappear as soon as it's moved. But if it's up in the sky there, everybody can look up and see it from any angle. Okay, so that's a map, just to give you some idea what we're talking about. Okay, well, another one, please. This is a map I've drawn, which makes it more easy to understand. Brilliant Prestatyn has got a lump in the middle with no built-up area. All there is in the centre of there is a golf course and a holiday park. Those blue dots on there are actual UFO reports. And they're specifically the ones which I'm pretty certain are not any kind of military craft, which are the real thing. Okay. When did they occur? Well, they always occur in the winter. It doesn't mean to say that they can't appear in the summer, but they do always appear in the winter. As soon as you get sort of mid-November and carry on through, you know, the winter, they start appearing. They nearly get to Christmas, the more are seen. Strangely enough. But there's a reason for that.
Yeah, what is the reason? Sounds like scientific stuff, doesn't it? What's this here? Ah, gifted a cookie. Thanks very much. Okay, just catching up. Okay. So yeah, he's telling a long-winded story. Really, he's not really getting to what we're after, but yeah, we'll just have to follow along.
Let's have a look at their flight path for a second. Can we have another slide, please? Oh, by the way, these are sightings down that range, specifically down that area. And at the bottom is a bit of a graph. They only got to 1984, these, because I've had no time to put new graphs together. If I could put this graph, it'd go all the way down to the basement of the building. But there we are, showing at the bottom a graph of the times of the year. Can you see December, November, and so in January? Those are the areas where we get the most sightings. Can I have another one, please? Right. As I was flying over in a UFO one day, I took this photograph. As you can see, this is real here. But if you look a bit beyond, a little bit further down the coast, at the very top area, you'll see it peters out completely. I live that area where it sort of peters out, and that's the area the UFOs come in. They come in from the sea, coming up out of the sea, because they fly brilliantly in water, UFOs, and I've had that proven to me that these discs are absolutely the best shape you could be to fly through water. And they travel inland to the...
Okay, but he was going to tell us why they show up in winter, but he's gone off course again.
low range, you can just start to see the mountains starting to stick up in the corner of the right there. So once they get that over that little bit there, where you can see a sort of white blob at the top, that's the holiday camp. There's no houses there, people just, holiday camp, which coincidentally closes during those months in the winter. So basically, you've got a route inland from the sea without crossing over the top of people or habitation. Let me see where I'm up to. Can I have another picture, please?
So he's saying the UFOs only show up when the holiday resort is closed in winter. I don't know about that.
Right, this...
But if you're a military person flying jets, maybe that's the time to do it, because you're not going to get complaints from the resort that you're annoying the guests, right? So does it mean it's not aliens then? Could be some underwater craft that can go up in the air, but like a Tic Tac, and fly super low out of radar range through a valley. This doesn't mean it's aliens.
This clearly shows Prestati and Rill. And this area, see the golf club at the very top indicated, and this area in between where there is nothing. Nothing at all. What a coincidence that they always travel across that golf course and down that line there.
Not for...
There are no buildings.
Ref.
And in the middle of the winter, in the middle of the morning, you could probably walk down there with a brightly lit umbrella and nobody would ever see you. And some of them will walk around like that. Anyway, here we go. Close salute, please. Right, now we're on the promenade, and I've moved down a bit from the lifeboat station, which is a bit further up this end, and I'm stood now at the golf course. The promenade, the golf course starts right at the promenade, and there's nothing. You can go straight across that golf course. One more, please. Right, that's looking directly across the golf club, and you can see the start of the mountain range there. So once you've gone across here, and across that holiday park that's there, you're home and dry down the Gulf. Next, please. Right, this is the holiday park. In case you want to book a caravan while I'm here or anything, you know what I mean? Anyway, they go across here. Next, please. Now we're actually coming down into the vale, and this is taken from one of the hills. You see that hill at the top there, it's Melodon area. That flat bit in the middle is the sea and Rill, and this is the area they come across. As you can see, it's just fields. And if you fly at a lower angle down there, you are really hidden. And again, please. Now you're starting to see the actual mountains as it comes down this vale. And again, please.
Oh god, it goes on.
And those are the hills on the far side. So as long as you're over that green area down there, in that trough, you really are sheltered from any kind of prying eye of radar or anybody else, really. And again, please. And this is further down that valley again, taken from this side of the hill, looking across to the other side. And you can see it's easy, you just keep travelling down in the middle of the night down there, and nobody's going to see you. And they do. And again, please. Now, halfway down that range, on that hill that we were talking about, is this Avon Wen television mast. This is where I get some of my television programs from.
So if they're flying low, they're going to take out the mast.
It's completely on its own on the mountain top, and there's only a little operating building that goes with it. But at night, it has aircraft lights on it. So there's, an airplane doesn't come down and knock a top off it every week. So there are the lights on the top of it. And because it's in an area where there are no other lights, and it's halfway down on this mountain, it stands out like a sore thumb. Now, if I was a tourist coming in here for the first time and travelling down there in my aeroplane or my flying saucer, and I saw this post, I would want to know what on earth that is and what it's doing. So I'd probably linger for a moment and go up a bit closer to it and see if I could see what it was, which is what people keep reporting. Can I have one more, please? Like this one. This is an actual drawing that the observer saw. He saw this illuminated object that looked like that. It had these funny legs on the bottom of it. It had lights all the way around it. And it was hovering around the oven when mast, television mast. Which probably explains why the picture goes a bit funny now and again, I mean, tell. Another one, please. This fascinates me, because this is a bit further down in Denby itself, but still on the main road, and this is called the Brookhouse Mill. It used to be a working water mill, there is still a water wheel there, and they do fine food and good ales there. They forced me one Christmas, because I put some equipment in there, to have to spend a Christmas dinner in there. It was absolutely all that. It was all very worrying, because they locked us in all day. And they told us, please help yourself to all the drinks you can, because we're trying to get rid of them.
UFO story, mate.
And so we did. And very interesting it was too. But anyway, opposite here, there's a road. Where this tree is, you can see on the side, there's a road going up to Rill. Straight up there would lead you to Rill. And the other side of it are some little cottages. They're still there. And the chef who worked in here lived in those little cottages. So he gets up very early in the morning, he goes over to start his ovens and whatever it is he does preparing, because they do an enormous amount of food in here. So obviously he's got a lot of work to do. So early in the morning, he walks across this road, and he gets to just outside this building when a disc comes over at extremely low level and beams the light down to where he is. He is absolutely gobsmacked. He's quite worried about it, because he doesn't know whether it's going to fall on the building or beam him up or whatever it's going to do, but he's very concerned about it. And so he actually reported it, and he reported it to the police, and he also reported it to UFO people, which is where, of course, I came in. What he didn't know is while he was stood out there and this thing was over him, a car travelled up this road from Rithing, going up the road towards Rill, with 2 police officers in it. A police car with 2 police officers in it. And the 2 police officers obviously saw this object, and they took a detailed account of it, and they went back to their station, and they reported it, and I managed to get a copy of the files of that actual report, and it really is a very good description. I mean, if a policeman can't describe something to us, we've got no chance, have we? But they did. And it's extremely good. It's identical to what this chef had reported. Please could I have another one? It was such an important case that Flying Saucer Review, which is a famous magazine, I don't know whether it's still going, but it
So we just covered this before, huh?
Actually produced an article about it, interviewed the people, and it was their front page. And you see a UFO drawn in and a beam down trying to represent what the chef had seen. Thank you. Where am I up to? Okay, come along, please. Right. This is totally mystifying. I'm there collecting information about things that are going on up and down this line, and this would be...
So I thought it was part of the same story, but it's talking about UFOs in the same area by the sounds of it. So it's a bit hard to follow them. It's sort of jumping from one... So we went from the Coast Guard sighting to the valley, then the castle in the same area. That then saw the UFO hovering around the antenna. Well, no, he's talked about the valley. Then further down was the antenna on the hill. And then it's gone into the castle story. So it's all in the same area, I guess, and of the UFOs in the area. All those UFO sightings he was talking about. Now he's on to this one. So we're just trying to wrap our heads around what he's trying to tell us.
in the paper. What's this all about? Well, I'll tell you. A farmer in one of those fields, under the line where the UFOs travel, is ploughing his field, and up comes a suitcase. So he opens this suitcase.
So he's ploughing a field, and he gets this suitcase. So is that from the wartime or what? It's kind of strange story, isn't it?
And in there is an amazing radio transmission equipment, textbooks and film, and this equipment is state-of-the-art in the world at the time, absolutely state-of-the-art. The equipment was specially made for the KGB and only for the KGB. It was not made for anybody else. So it's a very rare item, and it took me a long...
So that could have been from World War II? Some sort of ground operation or some spies there? I don't know. Or since...
long time before I was able, and you can see it, MP is a questioning the Ministry of Defence and the like, what on earth is going on that the Soviets have got, secret radio transmitters down this valley. One more, please.
But how would that be powered? If it's in a suitcase buried underground transmitting something to Russia, how was it powered? It wouldn't last forever on battery. Did they have it wired into an underground power cable? Or maybe there's a power line near it? So all these type of questions I need answered.
This is photographs of the actual equipment. It took me a long time to get pictures of this. You will not believe what I do. And again, please. And again, please. As you can see, quite a bit of gear, all locked away in a case. Thank you. Right. It's a Soviet-Russian KGB anchor surveillance radio covert transceiver. That's what it's called. It was produced in the 1960s by Novosibirsk Electro Signal Bureau.
So it's after World War II.
Exclusively for the KGB in very limited numbers. It's designed for clandestine communication between agents and surveilling potential enemy agents. It permits coded signals to be sent silently.
But he just said they do plane training, RAF there. Makes sense that maybe there's a spy in the country that was burying the suitcase in that valley where there's UFO sightings. So I think it's unrelated myself. I think it was just a spy on test flights of planes and stuff. That's what it sounds like to me.
By vibrations, voice taps, transmissions of voice, both scrambled as well. Very sophisticated for its time. Really sophisticated. Okay, next one, please. Now this is the town of Denby. This is the last stop on the North Wales tour of the UFO aliens. They get as far as Denby. You can still see the mountains at the back there, by the way. They could continue down, and one or two actually have, but nearly all of them decide Denby's the place to turn a sharp right and go through a valley at the side of this castle here and end up out on the Denby moors where you can play all night to your heart's content and nobody can see what you're doing. Of course, the reservoirs are up there, so if you like hiding in water, you've got them as well. There's plenty for them to investigate. It's a wonderful area, but it's very remote. And this is Denby Castle. Again, please.
Another castle. I don't know. Is that the one that the chef was in?
Because it's a heavily populated area around there, there's been numerous sightings actually over Denby Castle. Can we have another one, please?
So he's gone on to another story.
Right. And this brings us to this guy. Just down from the castle and near to the route that's going down the crew before they turn, this guy lives. Okay? Mr. Roberts, he lives in a cul-de-sac on a little tiny estate near the bottom, right adjacent to Corbell. In fact, the end of his cul-de-sac is the fence that separates him from the quarry itself, which is a wooded area around a stone quarry. What he does is every night, as a habit, he takes his dog to do its business. This is at 12 o'clock.
I do that too, mate.
Every night he does this.
Well, he doesn't do his business. He just likes to sniff and watch out for cats. So Harry Gowan on the side chat. Tic Tac is likely ours. And it went in and out the sea. I don't know. I think there's a mixture of ours and the aliens or whatever. we don't know. That's why we got to keep investigating it. Of course, the government's not being honest enough to solve the mystery. Maybe one day. So this guy, what's this guy? He's out there walking his dog. So this is another story in the same valley, by the sounds of it, of another UFO sighting. So the suitcase is moved on. So yeah, I think that one's unrelated. I think that must have been a spy they've got in UK there that's watching what the Air Force are doing. But yeah, could the UFOs be Russian? Who knows? Are they aliens? Who knows? Are they ours? Who knows? But this is why it's all interesting stuff, right? And this is the first time I've heard about these cases, so it must be the first time you've probably heard about them too. This was posted not that long ago. Let's see what... so the Swansea UFO group put this one up, July 2019, so a few years old, but it's not the sort of thing we've heard on the TV, I don't think, on any other show.
And he sits on the fence, this little stile at the top there, and has a smoke. And while he's smoking, his dog does the business, and he gives it a couple of whistles. It comes to him, and off they go home to bed. Not that night, it didn't. He sat on that fence. The dog went over, started rummaging in the bushes, and next minute, a bright light rises up over the top of the trees that are in front of him, coming towards him extremely slowly, and it is colossal. I mean, really, really big. It's got what he thought were windows, all the way round it, big windows, that sort of size of round the bar down there, that kind of size, and lights. He was scared to death. The dog ran off, it scared the dog, it went. So what he did is started running down this cul-de-sac because it was following him, and this white light was shining on him and he could feel the light, and he was so concerned that he was running down there and he was banging on people's doors, which is a great thing to do at 5 past midnight, if you can see what I'm saying. And one of the doors he knocked on was a neighbour. It wasn't a personal friend, it was just one of his neighbours. And the way the houses are built, the front door is recessed in to the building and the kitchen sort of thing is sticking out towards the road. So when you open the door, you can't actually see, left of your house for a minute. So she came out and said words like, "How wonderful of you to knock at 5 past midnight, and how pleased I am to see you at this time," and so on. "Are you having any problem that I can help you with?" Right? To which Mr. Roberts said a few words, which I can't repeat, and she can't repeat either, and said, "Come and look at this." So you can imagine how pleased she was to be dragged to the front of her house by this man at 5 past midnight. But as soon as she did, this thing was passing them. Oh my God, what is this? Now, it's one thing for me to tell you about these things. It's another thing for you to hear it for yourself. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to take you on the interview.
So obviously that was back before smartphones, right? Imagine if they caught it on video. That would have been amazing. So how often have we heard about UFOs having windows? Does that sound like a Black Ops craft having so many windows on it? I don't think so. Normally aircraft have like a cockpit with only a couple of windows, because windows seem like the weakest part of a craft, right? Because humans have to see through it. It's normally weak material. It's a bit like that sub that went under the water, right? Probably imploded around some sealant around the windows or something like that. It'd probably turn out to be. seems like a weak point having windows on a craft to me, having lots of them. And that means it must have been fairly big craft, and having windows, it means you have quite a few entities or beings inside, having looked through them. So it doesn't sound to me like it could be a black ops craft. Very strange one if that's the case. And what was it doing? Now, could it have been a blimp with windows? Yeah, it could, of course it could have been. But why would it have been flying around at midnight there, so low down? So yeah, aliens, of course, could have been a mothership, I suppose. But yeah.
That I did after he appeared in this paper. My dear wife, who was very good at a bit of shorthand and making a few notes and things, occupies people while I can question them and makes notes of everything they said. I also, with their permission, record the interviews, so I must have 15,000 interviews on tape of people seeing UFOs, some of which will absolutely magnetize you to the spot, because they're not all crackpots. And although this gentleman does not claim to be any kind of intellectual scholar, he nonetheless is a very honest and straightforward person, which I think you'll gather from the tape. Because tonight I'm going to play you that original tape. You'll have to listen very carefully. Now, he's got a dog, by the way, which while I'm trying to interview him is trying to either pee on the recording equipment or is trying to sniff the microphone to death, right? And Mr. Roberts himself gets very excited. I don't know why, because I mean, lights come over the top of you every night, don't they, and frighten the living daylight. Anyway, he gets very excited. He gets so excited about to use a few bleeps in here. And he kept saying to my wife, "Oh, don't mind, I hope you won't mind," then you do it again, you know what I mean? But anyway, it adds flavour to it, so listen carefully, you might hear it. Yes?
Just, you think in 2019, instead of doing presentations this badly, that they'd do it like we're doing nowadays with live streams. Like people would have little laptops in front with headsets on or something, you know. But anyway, here we go.
Okay, thank you.
I love the high technology.
Thank you very much.
Was it a reel-to-reel tape? Well organised. Oh, I don't know if I can listen to that.
Right. Hang on a minute, Chris. If you tell me now what happened, just as it happened, just in your own words, how it happened, and Christine, just take the photos. The photos, it's the wall. Gets easier to hear. Gets easier to hear as it goes on.
Oh God, mate, I have to. Oh, I don't know, guys. You might have to listen to that in your own time. I don't know if I could listen to that. But anyway, there's a start into it anyway, and you can go and watch it on the channel. I'll post a link to it. How many hours have we done here? Because I need to probably go and get something to eat and stuff, because I started without breakfast. Let's see, Swansea UFO network or whatever it is, so UFON. That'll do for abbreviation. I'll post it on YouTube there. So they'll probably have a lot more videos there too you can watch. Let's have a look. So I just thought that was quite interesting. And it's something Robert sent me. Obviously it's UFO sightings around Wales up to Liverpool, wasn't it? So let's have a look. Actually, let's just bring up a map here. Swansea, UK. Where's the map? Maps. My eyes are a bit bad at the moment. Okay, so let's have a look. So this is Wales coming down from up there. Where's Liverpool there, is it? What's up that way? What's that say there? I don't know. Here we go. It's a bit hard to zoom in and read it. But anyway, looks like it's the other side of Wales, right? Let's just get it. Now we've got a better idea where it is located. So Robert's over here somewhere. National Park. Manchester. Oh, there's Liverpool. So what's part of Wales? All that area? Don't shoot me if I got it wrong. So yeah, there's a lot of UFO sightings out this way, especially from Dublin to there, and obviously some down this way. I'll just close that down. Did I post it up there? I think I did. Have you heard of Nurse McDonald? Is that the Roswell nurse? Yeah, that's a fabricated story, isn't it? But I'm not sure if that's who you mean. What makes it state of art? 1960s? Yeah, good question. Encryption, maybe? He said it was an encrypted radio transmitter. Maybe the size of it? When did the transistor radios come out? Not till the 70s, wasn't it? That's a good question. Anyway, there's obviously we watched quite a chunk of it here, but there's a lot more he's going on about there. Well worth having a watch of it anyway. First transistor radio. What time did that come out? Remember these ones? We used to have one of those. Probably in the dump now. Okay, the transistor was invented in 1947, just after a Roswell crash. Let's see, the Regency TR1 was released in 1954, so okay. Is that it there? So, 1960 radio. Maybe it wasn't affordable until 1970s. I remember we got it in 1970. Oh yeah, it's quite expensive, was it, back for that time? I don't know. It would have been a good question what made it cut in. I think it was the encryption side of it. But anyway. Alright, John Mack. Might just save that for next time. Atoms. Oh, that was quite interesting, but also quite boring. Presentation by this guy. But yeah, it just proves that atoms are round. Even though it looks like squares in that image. But yeah, maybe I'll play a clip of that next time. I think I'm just going to wrap it up now and talk about John Mack interviews. Again, I have to push the other stuff. Yeah, we'll cover that next time. I think I might just wrap up for this new test live with the new setup. 3 hours is long enough, I think. 3.5 hours today. We didn't get too many people show up on YouTube, sadly. I don't know why, but it is what it is. I thought we covered some interesting new, fresh stuff there anyway. Considering I've been really busy fixing things that I haven't had time to focus on paranormal and UFO sides for this show. But we got there. So I'm going to just wrap it up there, guys, and say good night. Thanks for your donations on Pilled. Good night, all. And I'll probably drop you off after the credits. And I'll say good night here. If I spend too long here, I'll get neck ache and whatnot. But we'll see when I can do the next show. It'll be a bit sooner than last time, hopefully. I might try to do a midweek one. See how I go anyway. I'm trying to research other stuff to bring you more, some more interesting stuff by that Gary guy. Talking about time travel and whatnot. Basically it involves a case that he investigated where there was communication happening on a computer inside a Faraday cage. So it's quite an interesting story. But we'll do that with Robert. But yeah, I've yet to read the book. I want to read the book and put together my own thoughts on it, science-wise. So yeah, let's just close you down there and there. And wind it down. Hopefully you enjoyed what we did today. I tripped over my tongue a wee bit today and trying to formulate stuff in my head because I'm a wee bit tired. But yeah, it is what it is, I guess. And of course my eyesight's deteriorated now, so it's a good time to end. Hopefully the audio was all good, no crackle. If you're new to my channel, go and check out all the old episodes on YouTube. I'm pretty sure you're going to enjoy loads of them. Got over 1,300 there now.